Sup, Chubbs Mackenzie, any last words before I kill you?
I have a thick, meaty vagina.
Dory is dead? Vegeta, get him!
Found me a thing! Time to get more things! Hey, it's the gay one.
Maybe I'm gay, or maybe stereotypes are bullshit. Pussy!
Oh no!
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Rollin' 20s. We are the show that read the Attack on Titan and Marvel crossover. Now it's time for the DC Idolmaster series. I am Jeremy.
I did not read no such thing.
I'm confused and also V.
Remember, you can subscribe to this show and several others in the MSP library at missionstarpodcast.com. You can subscribe to us on iTunes and on Stitcher, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter at the Rolling 20s. You can send me any fan mail, suggestions for the show, or hate mail at mspfreight@yahoo.com. The theme music you heard for the show is by Machinae Supremacy. You can find most of their discography for free download at machinaesupremacy.com, as well as their latest couple of albums on amazon.com. The clip you heard at the very beginning of the show was DBZ Abridged by Team 4-Star. You can subscribe to their channel on youtube.com. How are you guys doing so far?
Pretty good. Stomped some people at Carcassonne today.
I decided to watch Constantine. Yeah, it's okay. Better than Arrow.
I'm not a fan of the Constantine series thus far. To me, it feels like it spins its wheels a lot. It keeps mentioning these overarching issues like the trying to get Azra's soul back and this creeping evil, but it really doesn't play into anything that seems to be going on the day-to-day.
No, they have to stretch it out for 20 episodes.
12, actually. Word is it didn't get a mid-season pickup. If it doesn't do well by the end of the 12 episodes, NBC's done with it.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. So, I don't quite know what to say. That news came out during the Thanksgiving break. You know, it's doing okay, but it's not doing well enough where NBC says, yeah, I want to do this.
I have a feeling it's not going to last.
It's limited a bit because, you know, fans of the comic books know this is a comic book property that's not going to interact with anything else out there. And people who don't know it, you know, it's already competing with things like Supernatural. It may be just a little too late for this show.
Yeah.
But other than that, you know, it's been okay. Trying to get ready for Anime Los Angeles, and, you know, we're knee-deep in the Christmas season, which means I can't do regular shopping on the weekends. You know, I've gotten to that point where I don't want to lavish people with bunches of gifts anymore. I just want to get each person one special item and then be done with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, totally.
I don't live in proximity to any of my family, so I don't really have to do any Christmas shopping.
Unfortunately, my parents are 2 blocks away.
My sympathy, sir.
Well, everybody has their crosses to bear, literally, figuratively. This week we read DC's Killing Joke. It's supposed to be one of the best Batman, if not one of the best DC stories out there. We will delve directly into that after we get through our usual, starting with the Kickstarter corner. We have more than one item in there this week because of past conversations. First off, we have something we found a little while ago, the Kickstarter for the official English release of the Clannad video game, or visual novel, as some people put it. That one is being done by Secat Project, S-E-K-A-T. It has 32 days to go, and it ends on Friday, January 9th. Has 3,317 backers. The goal to get this started is $140,000. Currently sits at $279,707. They've hit their stretch goal so far of $200,000, which is updating the visuals of the game to 1280 by 960. If they get up to $320,000, they'll add Clannad side stories.
Nice.
So, yeah, I don't know anything about Clannad myself. I've been an anime fan, but slice of life stuff generally is not that appealing to me.
Yeah, I know literally nothing.
Yeah, me too.
Well, based on our conversation with Warcabbit last week, I decided to check out the Kickstarter for Valiance Online, another one of the superhero MMOs attempting to get their feet off the ground.
Uh-huh.
I don't have a terrible amount to say about this because in the first week we're actually going to cover it, it's been canceled.
Ooh.
The project had a $150,000 goal. With a few days to go, it had $34,680 rather than take it as an unsuccessful. Silverhelm Studios decided to pull the plug on it. Although, it does look like they're still plugging ahead with alpha testing. So I don't know if the Kickstarter... I don't know if the Kickstarter was for supplemental income or if it was to show off to a bank or another company or what. But it definitely did not go as planned. My wife actually downloaded the alpha for Valiance, and she was into it for about a day. By the second day, she was kind of falling out of love with it.
For what reason?
It's hard to tell where... kind of a few general reasons. You know, unfortunately, because it's alpha, nothing in it is polished. Yeah. The gameplay was kind of slow and point and click. You know, it seemed, when watching it, it was like a slower version of City of Heroes with less graphic power.
Wow, City of Heroes wasn't that fast to begin with.
Right?
No, it was an alpha, so it could have been they're working on gameplay and we're going to add some layers to it later to make it look better, but it gave a great first impression for her. Second impression did not hold up. She may try it again to see if it improves, but I don't know. This doesn't sound like the kind of one I would get behind myself. The last Kickstarter I have is something I found in my Facebook feed on the Anime Expo group, Cosplay 24 Beyond the Mask by Chase Lawrence. This is supposed to be for a cosplay photo book about 24 cosplayers across the U.S., including Light Mage, Maka Lee, Kitsune Kid, and Monster Mash. Jesse, you remember Monster Mash? He was the burned-up Wolverine we met.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. This Kickstarter has 54 days to go. It ends on Saturday, January 31st. It has 4 backers. The goal to get this started is $27,000. Currently stands at $220.
How much time do you got left?
54 days.
They got time.
There's plenty of time to pull this one out, but they got to advertise like crazy.
Oh, help.
You know, they got to pass this under the nose of a few people. Some of the photos in it are actually pretty darn good. You know, there's some interesting stuff in here, some really good-looking cosplayers. It's just, it has to get out to more people if it's going to happen. So, I'll be following that with some interest. Shall we plug ahead into the video game news?
Blast away.
Sure.
Wow, okay, so engaged. Let's see. Have you guys seen the footage that was released for Batman Arkham Knight?
No.
Oh, man. Let me get the YouTube up, because if you were on the fence about this one before, you will be sold after this. We discussed how the last game was done by Warner Brothers instead of Rocksteady Games, if you recall. And, Arkham Origins didn't do terrific. It did okay, but it didn't do terrific. This one is back under Rocksteady, and it appears to change everything. I've sent you guys the link. The first part is the infiltration of Ace Chemicals by Batman, which I believe is a company that may have helped with the creation of the Joker, depending on who you believe.
Yeah.
It starts off with a whole bunch of interesting visuals, some kind of weird attack helicopter. Notice the detail on some of this stuff already?
The rain is really good.
Whoever this guy is,
Yeah.
he's assembled an army.
Got something here from a black ops unit operating in Venezuela. There's nothing but
Because you have to play with the Batmobile, now there's a tank.
The only thing sources agree on is his name.
The takedowns seem to be getting more brutal.
There's a crew of Ace Chemicals workers left on site.
More spine-cracking stuff. Maybe he's been reading Bane's books.
Well, notice that the general artistic style is kind of a lot grittier than some of the previous. Like, it's fewer smooth things, more...
Yeah, that may have to do some with the rain, because it definitely adds an extra texture and slickness to this particular group of visuals.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, they got Kevin Conroy back.
Oh, yeah, how couldn't you, dude? I don't know any non-live version of Batman that's going to be acceptable without his voice. When he dies, people will cry en masse.
Sorry, whose voice?
Kevin Conroy, the guy who was Batman in the animated series and several animated movies.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
And the prior two Arkham games, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Oh, no, I'm thinking about someone else.
Well, I like that costume.
Someone tells me you couldn't take Batman as seriously if it was Adam West coming through. You fiend!
Someone should make a mod for one of the games that replaces all his dialogue with Adam West.
And then every time Robin or Nightwing comes up is Burt Ward.
Oh, man.
I'll stop him. But first I'm getting you out.
Holy shit, thighs, Batman!
You know, Kevin Smith will jump all over that.
Yeah. That Ace Chemical worker looks like he's had the crap beat out of him.
Yeah.
You wouldn't let us down. We're not done yet, Jim. I'm going back for the others.
Like I said, you know, hearing that there was a third one, I wonder if you can actually provide anything new. Is this going to be interesting enough to pick up, or do I have to wait for sales? Looking at this video, I may have to go out and have that pre-order. It does seem like they've worked hard to add new tricks for this game.
It does look really nice.
Well, way back when we started this, I referred the others to the Arkham Asylum game, and I told them I'm not a Batman fan, but this game, it wouldn't matter if it was Batman or not. Whoever the hero is, I'd enjoy playing this.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that one only because it gave me the same vibe as playing like Metroid, where you had to revisit old areas with new tricks. That was the kind of thing I got out of it.
I really like the close-up at the end with his eyes. It looks like you're staring at a goddamn person.
Yeah.
So this is released on June 2nd, 2015. Yeah, it's going to end up in my Xbox One library. Assuming I'm not lucky enough to have a PS4 by then. Besides which, with a... Sorry?
I was wondering if it's coming out on PC. I guess they all have been.
Eventually.
Yeah, it's a later release. But besides, if you do a pre-order at GameStop, you get Harley Quinn as a playable.
Yay. Actually, many
Can't go
people would
wrong.
be very yay about that.
Yeah. You can't go wrong with crazy. Super Smash Bros. For the Wii U appears to be a bona fide hit. It sold 490,000 physical and digital copies during the first 3 days it was out in the U.S.
Not surprised with that.
Although that's not quite outstanding numbers, but it is very good for a console that's had a lot of trouble lately. It hit Europe on November 28th and Australia on November 29th. Wonder why Japan gets a third, December 6th. Why make them wait?
Yeah, that seems kind of odd.
Indeed.
Well, I would think Japan is like the only country where the Wii U is probably doing really well. But it also has added a little bit of controversy because you can buy for the game, I believe, at first, $60. You can get a GameCube controller adapter for the Wii U.
GameCube controller adapter?
Yeah, in other words, you can plug this thing into your Wii U, and it has 4 ports in it for GameCube controllers. Wii U controllers, I haven't seen them, but they don't appear to lend themselves very well to the required actions for Smash Brothers.
Yeah.
I know that there was a factory version of a GameCube adapter for Nintendo, and within days of this game coming out, those things went from about $20 to $40 at retail to about $90 to $160 in some online retailers. These things disappeared fast. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It was amazing how quickly these things jumped up in price. And Square Enix came out with some interesting news, if it's a little bit confusing. This is the company that came out with the Final Fantasy games. And they announced on November 25th, they said next month, which I assume is this month, they're coming out with a brand new console role-playing game. Other than that, we know almost nothing. Why would you keep that kind of secret?
I don't know.
Hype build-up.
Yeah,
Well,
but...
hype what, though? I mean, the gaming community's gotten fickle.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to hype something without having a name or something behind it.
No, Square Enix is big enough name in RPGs anyways, except he's been kind of really floundering with
Square
the Final
Enix is
Fantasy
no longer.
title.
Yeah, they're no longer a large name in RPGs. They have some success still, but Final Fantasy has not been a huge hit for them. Even though they rebuilt 14 into something good. What was the last RPG they actually came out with that people gave a crap about? Their last couple games, as far as they had a hand in that.
You said RPG. You didn't say from Square Enix.
No, I mean the last Square Enix game, because the last one I knew of that I cared about was Tomb Raider, and they bought that off somebody else. They just finished it. So, I know that they're working on a Final Fantasy VII remake for the PC, and some people are pissed because they're not upgrading anything to it.
Nothing?
Still the same it's still the same early 90s graphics, the same weird super deformed style that was prevalent back then due to a lack of graphic power.
Yeah.
They've updated nothing.
Not even any games or bugs or anything?
No, these made sure it ran on modern systems.
That's a straight port.
I don't think that's a good idea. With the Baldur's Gate port that they did not too long ago, they added some new stuff, and I think without the added stuff, it would not have held up.
I would think it'd be the easiest thing they could do. Go into production for 18 months, take the whole game, rip out the entire visual code, and rewrite it. You wouldn't have to change the gameplay at all. Just change the visuals, and this game would probably sell like crazy to both new and old fans, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, I'd agree.
So, Well, Sony is already refunding customers over misleading PlayStation Vita ads. The FTC has apparently come down on Sony, the Federal Trade Commission, for those of you who don't know or are not in the U.S., and Sony agreed to settle the case, paying consumers more than $750,000 in cash and buyer's credits. Buyers of a Vita will get their choice of $25 or cash or $50 of Sony credit purchases.
It's not bad.
I don't know. Yeah, the FTC accused the ad via Deutsch and Sony for deceiving and accusing the ad agency of illegally hiding that its employees' endorsement tweets during the Vita were sponsored messages. So Deutsch employees apparently gave over their Twitters and allowed their company to use it and plug ads in it.
Huh.
Is that really deceptive advertising, or is that naivete of customers?
Little column A, a little bit of column B.
It seems like a really odd thing to hang your hat on.
I think customers could stand to suck it up more.
We could stand to take a little more responsibility for being stupid, honestly.
Yeah.
How about this? Have you guys ever heard of a LAN convention called DreamHack Winter?
I've
No.
heard DreamHack. We play a lot of StarCraft there, I believe, or something like that.
Not exactly. DreamHack started in 1994. It started with two Swedish guys who rented out a school hall to play video games. That's all it was. As of this year, it's the world's biggest LAN party with over 25,000 PC gamers in one place for music, games, cosplay, and a whole lot of sweat.
Okay.
Because nerds do that kind of thing. Honestly, I am not a LAN gamer. I would enjoy going to this just to poke my nose around and take a look. I'm going to send you guys a link to what this looked like this year. I would go to Sweden for this. If they start paying us, I will offer DreamHack as someplace I want to go.
Whoa!
That's pretty big.
You're looking at what may be the world's largest LAN party.
Looks loud.
I don't know. A lot of gamers tend to use headsets these days, so it may not be that bad.
Maybe not just the normal people.
Yeah.
Not their competition.
There's always going to be a buzz of people talking.
It'd probably be a combination of two things. The chatter back and forth and the whir of 25,000 PC fans.
Yeah.
It's got to be stuffy in there.
Even with all that extra headroom, it's got to be pretty... It's gonna be...
That would probably make it worse. You're trapping a heat cloud above your heads. They even had DJs, live music. That they turned this into a heck of a party. Give you another example. Hang on, let me load up the picture here. Take a look at this. This is what the hangar looked like during the quote-unquote nightlife of DreamHack.
Party.
Dude, that's cool.
And there's one more picture I got to share here because this says gamer in any language. Take a look at that. look at what's stacked up around that computer and tell me these guys aren't just nuts. A little bit of coffee, a little bit of tea, cases of energy drinks, and what appears to be sweet buns. Oh yeah, these are my people.
Gamer diet right there.
Oh my.
Yes.
I eat none of those
The only thing
things.
they're missing is Mountain Dew.
Are you kidding? We could probably be Legend just showing up there, setting up some PCs, and putting out cases of Surge.
Man, if I went there, I
God.
would be the odd one out, bringing like little baggies of baby carrots and apples.
If you went there, you'd be surrounded by the rest of us playing video games, and some blonde dude would just go up to you, "Hi, want to see my penis?"
You're assuming they're out to hit on girls. Everyone there's playing a video game.
There's also the opposite that's true. V could actually find some buxom blonde, suddenly walk up to her and go, "Hi, you want to see my penis?" Threw that out there. Let's see. I know there was some cheating in the Counter-Strike tournament that was held recently at DreamHack.
Really?
A team was entirely removed after a cheating scandal. We all know there was heating problems there. So it produced one of the best matches of Counter-Strike ever seen, which nearly didn't happen because of more cheating. Now, let me explain this. Valve discovered that there are 3 high-profile Counter-Strike Global Offense players using hacks and tools, all at DreamHack this weekend. Titan and Epsilon were 2 teams were banned from competing outright, so people figure players would do their best to minimize shenanigans. They were mostly right. A mega team on Counter-Strike called Fnatic, Fnatic, were dangling from a thread after a beatdown by the eventual winners of the competition, LDLC. Now, under the scrutiny of people watching, Fnatic actually whipped out its own secret weapon, a very illegal exploit. So they ended up bringing a hell of a comeback in the match, but they were also caught. The exploit was removed, and Fnatic was taken down. Now, the hack was called, or I should say the exploit was called a boost. Players can stand on top of each other to get a better view. That's an exploit that shouldn't have existed. It relied on an invisible pixel near the counter-terrorist team spawn point. So with these people standing on top of each other, they could get a look at nearly the entire map.
Huh.
LDLC appealed the loss to Fnatic, as Fnatic broke 2 big rules: no pixel walking and no exploits that render textures transparent. Fnatic returned with an appeal claiming LDLC had used a different illegal boost, and after deliberation, DreamHack, who wasn't really prepared for this kind of legal maneuvering in a video game tournament, did a do-over the whole match, and Fnatic won that. Or I should say LDLC won that match. This is like the young and the restless of video games.
What?
Whole lot of drama. Do you guys recall last week we brought up the Error Samus Arans that were out?
Yeah.
Ish. Yeah.
The amiibo figures that have 2 arm cannons instead of 1 arm cannon.
Yeah, those things are going for like $2,000.
Yep, one figure went up on eBay and sold for over $2,500.
Holy crap!
These things may have just become some of the rarest video game collectibles ever. Almost makes me wish I was plumbing Target and just to yell at these things. Oh well, what can you do? It's already done and gone. It's just amazing what one error can cause, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I gotta ask, I know you guys follow video gaming to some degree. Have you heard of Black Desert Online?
Vaguely.
Black Desert?
Yes, I have heard of it.
It's a new Korean MMO, which I've heard has the best character creation system ever. I had known nothing about this. There was a trailer attached, but I haven't watched it. You guys want this?
Sure.
Shoot.
There it is.
Yeah. I think I heard about this about 6 months ago.
It's a nearly 5-minute trailer by Dalm Games in Pearl Abyss. Dalm Games. It almost sounds like an insult. Holy shit! You can actually change individual sectors of the face? Okay, this is insane detail. Looks like you can even change layers of the hair in the character creator.
Yeah, that's really awesome.
Give them highlights. You can change section. You can change the length of sections of the leg instead of just the whole leg.
Forget all that. Look at how realistic the skin is.
It's disturbing, actually. I wonder what kind of system you need to run this. It actually has you playing with different facial expressions just to test it. I may have to check this out. This is an FTP. I could plumb around this for a couple hours and see how it works. This looks really cool, though.
Character creation, at least.
Yeah, this says nothing about gameplay. I know nothing about how it plays out. Oh wait, there's actually some gameplay video here.
I always had some issue with character creation, especially when you get through so much detail on the face. Especially in MMOs where you actually had to put a helmet on your character. So what's the point with all that work if you're just going to cover it up?
Who knows?
There's that.
It's like the helmet does come off eventually.
Well, that's why I like features like, town clothes and stuff like that are nice.
Yeah. Besides Korean MMOs, half the time you can strip somebody down to naked, so I guess the face may actually matter. Wow, they got some big enemies here, too. This actually looks pretty nifty.
Yeah.
Wow. The visuals are impressive. It looks like you can run and gun as the archer. I've gotten to about 2 minutes in, and all of a sudden we've gotten to an archer just running everywhere and firing special arrows. I don't know. We may have to set aside an evening somewhere in January and try and test this out together.
Sure.
Assuming it's FTP. If it's pay to play, that's not quite fair to ask you guys to do that. Or maybe I'll annoy Anthony and have him give us some temporary accounts for a little while. Hey, it worked.
Just turn those elements. Wow.
Have you looked into Five Nights at Freddy's yet?
No, I haven't. I read a story where somebody's trying to make it even scarier, but I didn't delve into it. Oh, I see the magic user now. She looks like a spiritualist or something. They're doing really good at this promo video. They're showing all kinds of different zones and different playstyles. Looks like if the game isn't finished, it's very close.
I'm getting a real, aside from the attack animation, I'm getting a real D&D feel from it, like D&D Online.
That's not a bad thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, V, stop stealing my brain.
I like Dungeons & Dragons Online. In fact,
okay, I was going to say I'm going to end the video, but there's only a minute left in it, and I want to see where this goes. I'm getting a real sense that I'd like to play this. It's rare that a promo video has me almost entirely sold, but this one is working.
they're doing a really good job of keeping the pace up.
Yeah.
Ooh,
now you have
barbarian.
the with the double axes, yeah. And he's picking people up and throwing them.
Oh crap, those are two big honking weapons in his hands. Oh, did he just suplex him?
Yeah, he did. This guy is freakish.
Oh, I know what I'm gonna play.
Dude, you're gonna play this, and the whole time in the chat, you're just gonna be screaming, "Where are the women?"
Actually, kind of reminds me of the barbarian from Diablo now.
Yeah, but you didn't get that good of a view of this as you did in this one. I'm sufficiently curious about this. I gotta look this one up. So that was Black Desert Online. It's being designed for the Korean market. It's been in closed betas apparently, so it may not be out as of yet. Still, I'm gonna have to find that. They've already announced that there's another Assassin's Creed. Actually, it wasn't announced. It was leaked that the new Assassin's Creed is going to take place in industrial London.
Okay.
It's currently codenamed Victory, or Assassin's Creed Victory. It's coming out next year for the PS4, Xbox One, PC, and I guess that's it for now. According to the leak that claims to be familiar with the game. And the visuals are kind of stunning. It's going to be much higher up in technology than their previous Assassin's Creed, at least not counting for their little scenes in the future in the memory machine. Take a look at that visual.
Nice.
Some people have mentioned that Unity has an amazing amount of detail from actual Parisian maps. Certain people have walked around with pictures from the game and have managed to line up the backgrounds with buildings still existing in Paris.
I like
nice.
that. I love details like that.
Well, how about this? Here's a wide shot of what this game is going to look like, and it's going to have detail unseen before. Now, the question is, can they make a smoother rollout than they did for Unity? Because Unity is plagued by a hell of a lot of bugs.
Like floating teeth and eyes.
Fortunately, they seem to have fixed that. There's still several other things going on that need fixing. You know, they need to work on the polish. If the game engine's the same and they're just readapting a new storyline, then they should have time to actually make it work the first time around, I hope. Have you ever wanted to play all the Final Fantasy games back to back?
You won't see me for a month. Maybe.
Can you believe, Jesse, that is exactly what's happening? We have two players, Crumps 2, and who is the other one here? Oh, I'm sorry, Crumps 2 and Sereth, who are playing Final Fantasies back to back over the course of a month to see who can do the fastest speed run.
They're
sure
running it in a month? Okay, it might take me 3 months then. Shit.
Yeah, I'm sure that they're not they're playing the MMO versions, but it took him apparently 11 hours. It took Sereth, who's currently online, a little under 12 hours to play through Final Fantasy 1, a little under 35 hours to play Final Fantasy 2, 46 hours to play Final Fantasy 3, 65 hours to play Final Fantasy 4, 66 hours and counting currently on Final Fantasy 4 Interlude. Still on his list is Final Fantasy IV After Years, Final Fantasy V, Final Fantasy Mystic Quest, Final Fantasy VI, Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core, Final Fantasy VII, Final Fantasy VII Dirge of Cerberus, Final Fantasy Tactics 8, 9, 10, 10-2, 12, 13, 13-2, and 13LR, or Lightning Returns. Get to work, Jess, you're behind!
No! I got a life!
Well, they're also taking sponsorships, which is paying for some of their equipment and their expenses during this period.
What expenses? Power and food?
I have no friggin' clue, because at this point, I would need an ass transplant. Well, news isn't all great for Sony. I take it you guys have heard by now that they have been hacked badly, or at least Sony Entertainment has.
Yeah, I heard about the hack. I don't know any more than that.
Well, the Sony Pictures Group has been hacked by a group identifying themselves as the GOP, or hashtag GOP. They want Sony to do something that they're not being very specific about, and they will end the hack, which is very curious because there's no details as to what exactly they want. The hack so far has released several of their movies currently out and coming out online for people to grab if they're fast enough. It's also detailed the salaries of certain stars in movies. It's also detailed Sony Entertainment employees' addresses. It was followed up. This happened late last month, and it's been followed up as of the 5th, or Friday of this week, with a very odd detail, in that because Sony Entertainment has not done whatever these people want, they are now saying that they're going to make things dangerous for Sony Entertainment employees and their families if they don't comply.
Okay. I think they're bringing the FBI in for that one.
They already have. There's a rumor going around that somebody's already backtraced the code to a very similar code used by some people in North Korea. I'm not saying that's the absolute truth as to what happened. That's just the word I get from a couple of news sites. The reason why they say this could be occurring now is because Sony are the ones coming out with a movie in the near future called The Interview.
Ah.
It's the Seth Rogen and James Franco movie about an attempted assassination on Kim Jong-un.
Yep, saw a commercial for that the other day.
Yeah. So this may have something to do with that. It may not. It's all very curious. It's very strange to be working in movies and have your life threatened because of something else completely different. Oh, well. Last bit of video game news I have is that there was a leak that Street Fighter V is coming out on PS4 and PC only forever. There will be
Forever?
no Microsoft. Yeah, there will be no Microsoft version of this game apparently.
Which
All
game?
right.
Street Fighter 5,
Huh.
brand new Street Fighter. Yeah. Do you want to see a video?
Shoot.
Sure.
You are so eager for guns. What's with you?
I live in Merced. There's nothing to do here.
Oh, right. Forget, you shoot squirrels. There it is.
Not that far in the boonies. Oh,
definitely
can't watch it.
PlayStation ad. Why not?
Oh, content warning, and I'm not signed in.
There's a content. Really?
Yeah.
It's a fighting game. All they're doing is beating each other senseless.
Violence.
Yet it allows you to talk to me. Well, it's a video of what appears to be a street in Hong Kong in a fight versus Ryu and Chun-Li. It appears to be a show-off video of each of them showing off combos and moves individually, including some super enhanced moves. Oh, and there's the graphic for Chun-Li's super. Oh, that's a surprise. You can knock people through the backgrounds.
Ooh.
Looks like you can open up new sections of zones by punching somebody through it.
That's kind of cool.
I've seen that in Tekken and a couple other games. The first time I know of it's happening in a Street Fighter game. I think the best stage changes I've seen so far have been Dead or Alive, actually. Yep, console exclusivity on PlayStation 4.
Well, that's
as much
Capcom's
as I
choice.
as much as I enjoy playing fighters, Street Fighter's lost some of its luster for me. Then again, I think fighters in general have for me.
I really only played Soul Calibur.
I was never really good with fighting games to begin with, so I just have no interest.
It was just the first one I've ever played since I didn't grow up with the console, and that and some wrestling games I've played. Some wrestling games.
Some of those can be fun. WWE 15, so far I've heard, has dismal reviews. So, I don't quite know where to go with it from there. I'm a wrestling fan, and everything I've heard says I should not play this game.
Well, don't play it.
Well, there you go. Simple advice. Okay, from there we'll move into Marvel media news, where we talk about the projects of Marvel that don't fall on the comic book page. First off, we have to kill a rumor that we started just in our last show.
Oh, what do we do?
Not started, at least read. Idris Elba supposedly was in the running to play Apocalypse for Bryan Singer's third in his trilogy of prequel movies, correct?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Actually, he came in at the Days of Futures Past. I should correct myself. Well, that rumor's already been squashed because they officially assigned Oscar Isaac to be Apocalypse in the third part of that trilogy.
Who?
Oscar Isaac. I'm actually not familiar with who this guy is.
Looks familiar.
Yeah, I don't. Personally, that's the first time I've ever recalled reading that name. I may have seen him before, but I'm lost.
Oh, he was in Robin Hood with Russell Crowe, Body of Lies.
The Bourne Legacy.
No and no.
The Bourne Legacy.
I saw that, but it was kind of doing three things at once, so I didn't see all of it.
Sucker Punch.
No one's seen that.
I have actually seen that and summarily forgotten nearly everything about it.
There you go.
So I guess that's how I'm going on with life without scars on my wrists.
Yeah, I can't think of anything else. I mean, looking at his IMDb page, and there are a lot of things I have not seen.
Okay. Well, I'm going to leave it at that because there's nothing I can do. I don't even know enough to insult the guy. I can say that Avengers Age of Ultron, they're going back to shoot some scenes or additional scenes for the movie. Not reshoots, just some additional scenes that have not been detailed. Now, a lot of people are speculating there may be something wrong with the movie or they're changing some writing. I think it's more likely that because now that they've cast the Black Panther, they may go back and add some things.
Cameos.
That's a thought.
Very likely, because remember, some scenes were shot in South Africa earlier this year for the movie.
Right.
So they may be adding T'Challa and Wakanda into the film. The Daily Mail also reported that the Avengers Infinity War Part 1 and Part 2 will shoot back-to-back at Pinewood later next year. So that means that movies that aren't coming out for 3 years may be in the can by the end of next year. I imagine you have to do it just to keep people's age consistent across these movies. You know, it will be about, 10 years since the beginning of this project.
Yeah.
By the time Infinity War 2 comes out. And that, and, I'm sure Chris Pine is saying, God, when are we done here? No, not Pine. Pine was Kirk. Chris Evans is the one I'm thinking of.
I was just about to correct you.
Holy frack, my kung fu is way off today. Okay, another rumor I get to clear up almost happily. The Fantastic Four synopsis we read at Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Thank God it turns out that wasn't true. However, the official synopsis that has been released by Fox doesn't tell us much of anything. According to what came up on the Rotten Tomatoes page, quote, "The Fantastic Four, a contemporary reimagining of Marvel's original and longest-running superhero team, centers on 4 young outsiders who teleport to an alternate and dangerous universe which alters their physical form in shocking ways. Their lives irrevocably upended, the team must learn to harness their daunting new abilities and work together to save Earth from a former friend-turned-enemy," unquote. That's all it is.
I read that article. I read some other articles that it's actually leaning toward the whole the ultimate origins for them.
Well, that's how the Ultimate Fantastic Four did get their powers, was an accident with a teleportal.
Okay.
However, unfortunately, this doesn't appear to have undone the bomb that Josh Trank dropped about Victor Dumashev, the blogger Doom.
Uh-huh.
Oh.
Apparently, that is not undone. That is still a problem. At least I view it as a problem. They don't seem to. Plugging forward here, Evangeline Lilly is the one playing Hope Van Dyne in the Ant-Man movie with Paul Rudd.
Uh-huh.
Evangeline Lilly may have accidentally leaked a few details. She had an interview with BuzzFeed, and she said that her mother's character was Janet Van Dyne, and she was a superhero.
Okay.
Janet Van Dyne is the name of the Wasp in the Marvel Universe.
Mm-hmm.
So it turns out her mother may have been active with superheroes, and that means that it may be likely that Michael Douglas isn't just playing an angry Hank Pym. He may be playing Hank Pym, former Ant-Man.
Or Yellow Jacket?
Could be that as well. Or Goliath. Or Hank Pym Adventurer. The guy's had a lot of names, and superheroing hasn't worked out quite as well as you think it would for him. I don't think that's a bad thing, but there's going to be a lot of purists out there going, well, why does she have to be Hope? Why can't she be Janet? And to all of them, I just say, fuck you and calm down. It's a movie.
Damn
Relax.
It. Oh, don't give me... No, Rocky Horror shit. No, I will fall asleep, I swear to God. I've tried watching this movie 8 times, and all I can tell you is that all 8 times, it's the most restful sleep I've ever gotten.
I was just made to watch it recently.
What do you think of it?
There are 2 good parts about the movie.
I always find it funny going back to
Or
the
should
guy
I
who played...
say 2 attractive people in the movie?
I always go back to the funny part about the bodybuilder in the film, the blonde guy in the gold Speedos.
Mm-hmm.
He keeps complaining that movie basically ruined his life, and it was easy to tell. He said so in interviews later, that he had no acting ability whatsoever. He admits it, too. He has no idea how he got in that part.
I bet.
Oh, well. We can plug forward probably the biggest news that came out in the last couple of weeks for Marvel movies. Doctor Strange is a Brit. It's been officially released and stated that Benedict Cumberbatch himself is Doctor Strange now.
Hooray!
Cool. I have no problem with it.
Now we just need to find out who's playing Wong. But, I do see one problem with this movie. And that is I cannot go to release week. Because of the fact that this is Benedict Cumberbatch playing Doctor Strange,
Yeah.
they will need to spend the first week after release cleaning out all the vaginal drippings from all over the floor of the movie theaters across America.
Oh my
the UK
god.
too. Tell me it's not true.
Well, for me personally, no. But for every other lady, yeah.
V, if you could have climbed into your TV and molested Khan the first time you saw him, you would have done it.
I'd be too busy with Kirk. Honest?
I can almost see V between Chris Pine and Benedict Cumberbatch pulling a wobbly Starfleet symbol.
I'd rather have... Never mind.
No.
I was
Finish
gonna
the
say...
thought.
I was gonna say Kirk and Spock, but... or... Never
What
mind.
do you think Spock's O-face would be in that scenario in the middle of a three-way? This is highly illogical.
Okay, let's move on.
Thank
Before
you.
I embarrass myself worse.
Are you kidding? I've admitted to my wife, if I get stuck in an elevator with Megan Fox, it's going to be loud. Well, they've also cast Jessica Jones in the Netflix series coming out after the Daredevil series.
Oh.
Kristen Ritter has won the role.
Who?
Kristen Ritter. I don't know if she's related to John Ritter, but she was... Have you ever seen Breaking Bad?
I know of it.
No.
Remember Jane, the heroin addict?
I haven't seen it enough to know that, but I have seen this person around.
How about the short-lived series The Bee in Apartment 23?
I'm familiar with it. I haven't seen it.
Well, let's just say she's not a terrible actress and she's been around at least. It's also been rumored that they're very close to picking who Luke Cage is to start his role halfway through the Jessica Jones series. Going right next to that, though, at the same time this was announced, Fox decided to announce that not only is the Daredevil movie going forward, they've managed to re-sign Ryan Reynolds to do it.
Daredevil?
Remember, he played... not Daredevil, Deadpool.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Sorry. But Ryan Reynolds is officially re-signed to be Deadpool for the second time.
They're going to put a mask on him this time?
I just hope the character is actually going to be Deadpool this time.
Was he not Deadpool before?
He was the ultimate version of it, which wasn't funny.
No, he wasn't even the ultimate version of it. The version they put up in that movie was never seen before.
And since.
Yeah.
For good
He was...
reason, apparently.
Well, you ever seen X-Men Origins Wolverine?
No.
Okay. He played Wade Wilson, who was supposed to be Deadpool in that movie, and the thing they introduced at the end as Deadpool, they sewed his mouth shut. Which takes away half the appeal of the character right off the top.
Yeah.
Then they started adding this weird healing factor. They shoved like katana blades in his arms like some quasi-Wolverine thing, gave him Cyclops eye blast. Really started scratching my head halfway through the entire sequence of it.
Yeah, that's weird.
Oh, yeah, he can also teleport. Short-range teleport.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah. It sucked. I also have the first picture that appears to have been released, a full frontal picture of the Vision from the Age of Ultron. I sent you guys the URL to the picture. It's a little grainy, but it is about what I imagine a good compromise of the Vision would be, because the comic book version is way too frickin' bright to be in a movie.
As in literally bright?
Oh, he's green, he's green and red like a Christmas tree.
Actually, I sent you a second picture. You can take a look at what the comic book version is. He's not a Christmas tree. He reminds me of what a walking, talking mascot for Sprite would be.
Sprite. Oh my.
I sent it to you, V. Take a look. I mean, it is bright.
I'm looking at it. You are correct. It is very bright.
Yeah. Nice, deep emerald green, nice lemon yellow, and then his face is baboon butt red. That would not come across well on a movie screen as a direct port. You got to make some compromises there.
Yeah, agreed.
So, the Vision is not one of my favorite characters, though. However, Paul Bettany, who's been playing Jarvis in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, is the one voicing and playing the Vision.
I wonder if there's any correlation between that.
Well, the Vision in Marvel Comics is the creation of Ultron. Ultron made him as his vision of what humanity will be once he wipes them out.
Yeah.
So it could be that James Spader as Ultron just rips the AI out of the wall, gives him a body, and says, "There, now you're a perfect being."
Huh. That's an idea.
Yeah.
So
It would explain
Well,
why
was-
Jarvis seemed to have been more important more recently. Ramping
Yeah, he
up
has
in
been-
importance.
yeah. In regards to Ant-Man, the principal photography for the movie is now complete. It's in the can. Filming wrapped as of Friday.
Cool.
So it appears the movie is done after multiple rewrites and recastings. It does appear things are finally moving along here. I am very curious about this film. As much as Edgar Wright is off it, I have high confidence that the bones of his script has made for a good movie.
So when's it being released?
This one is coming out after Age of Ultron, which means it's probably coming out either... I don't remember if it's late this year. I believe it's coming out early next year.
I was hearing sometime in March.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. No, July. It comes out July of next year.
Really?
Yeah, Age of Ultron hits May. This movie comes out in July, so we're going to get a pretty strong summer.
Actually, I heard that this thing might be coming out in March.
Oh, no. This movie has to come out after Age of Ultron. They're doing it sequentially. Remember, we discussed the story how the script for Ant-Man was so good, they decided to bring it out after Age of Ultron. It changed the order that they were planning on doing their cinematic universe.
It had
It's also
better
why-
be really good.
Really hope so. Stan Lee, however, has hinted that some characters may be meeting on the screen sooner than people think. Someone asked him about the possibility of crossover of movie characters like Spider-Man, X-Men, and Avengers, who are all owned by different companies at this point.
Uh-huh.
They asked him this at the Hammer Museum this past Saturday, and he said, quote, "It's something that Marvel is very concerned about. It's very difficult to bring them all together because these characters are so successful and make so much money that the studios have the rights that don't want to let them go. So that's something that the lawyers and all the production companies have to work out. Whether they get it worked out, I don't know," unquote. So he doesn't make it sound like that the lawyers have to get together and actually chat. He makes it sound like they've already been chatting about the possibilities.
It's just a matter of compromise and...
Dude, I think we've discussed before. If I was in a Disney boardroom, I would tell them right now to go to Sony, as much as they're hemorrhaging money everywhere but PlayStation, and offer them a serious amount of cash for the Spider-Man rights. Get that back right now. Make it worth their while. Pay them stupid money, like in the billion categories, because frankly, if you get Spider-Man back in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, that'll be worth billions.
And Sony will maybe be struggling less.
Yeah. But I would play that gambit. Whether anyone else would, probably not. And the last bit of Marvel media news I have is that it's been announced by Kotaku UK. They had an interview with creative director and game designer Tai Yusue, who's working on Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah.
He said that the properties of Star Wars and Marvel Comics are not considered off limits to them for Kingdom Hearts 3. So it's possible that Sora and his company could end up tripping through the Marvel Universe and then end up on the Millennium Falcon. Wouldn't that be freakish?
I have mixed feelings about this. I don't like Yoda on my Soul Calibur, so...
Well, that's okay. You could at least somebody could actually ask him what's with the clown shoes. Sora has huge feet. Let's see. From there, we'll move into the DC media news, and DC dropped its own interesting announcement this past week. They've cast the Suicide Squad.
Yeah,
First off,
I saw that.
The rumor is correct. Jared Leto is being the Joker in that movie. It's also true that Margot Robbie from The Wolf of Wall Street is Harley Quinn. Showed you the picture of that stunning blonde last week. Jai Courtney has been cast as Boomerang. British model and actress Clara Delvine is the Enchantress, which is not the same as the Marvel Enchantress. I looked her up. Tom Hardy is going to play a character named Rick Flag. I'm not familiar with that character at all.
He was from the original iteration of the Suicide Squad before they started using villains.
Actually, I looked up the character a little bit. There's been several iterations of Rick Flag through the years.
Yeah, but Rick Flag was the person who ran the original Suicide Squad way back.
Okay. The most curious one that makes me actually scratch my head and wonder about the direction of this is the announcement that Deadshot, the guy who has been, pretty big in the Secret Six and the Suicide Squad for a couple versions now, is being played by the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Will Smith.
Well, maybe he needs someone to rub that stain from the last movie he did with M. Night Shyamalan. What was that one thing?
After Earth, the one he put his son in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never saw it, but it looked boring.
A lot of people said the same thing you did. I have mixed feelings on this because Will Smith is star power. A lot of people go to see his movies, but lately his movies have not been that good in general.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And there's also the reports that he is apparently one huge prick. I don't mean between his legs. I mean, like, all of him. He is just annoying to deal with.
Yeah. I have heard that from Cracked.
Yeah. So that's the only part of it that makes me scratch my head. The rest of it I can deal with. It either sounds good or I don't know enough to have an opinion. But Will Smith as Deadshot is the one thing that just makes me wonder. And the way the Suicide Squad goes, this movie is probably going to focus a lot on Jared Leto as the Joker, Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn, and Deadshot probably as the leader of this crew. I don't know. I have hopes, but I just don't know.
Yeah.
I think Will Smith would probably be the weak point in that casting, for sure.
It is in my opinion.
Isn't Deadshot supposed to be kind of very, loud? Not loud, but...
No, Deadshot is very direct. If you remember when we read The Secret Six, he had this weird kind of bromance thing going on with Catman.
Yeah.
He's very competitive. He's egotistical, as you would expect of an assassin.
There's a Catman? No, never mind. Go on.
Wow. That was a little derailing I didn't expect there. But, Deadshot is usually a very intelligent person who focuses on using as few bullets as possible to get the job done. He's not an American shooter. So, I don't know. Will Smith usually plays these weird, panicky, comedic characters.
He can be, granted we have to go back a little bit in his career, but he can be a great, serious character.
I think we have to go back more in a little bit.
I was thinking Ali, so...
I've never actually sat down and watched that.
He was good in it.
Piece.
Yeah, it's historical.
Yeah.
Well, I know who Muhammad Ali was. I just never watched it. I heard it wasn't that great of a film.
It's not exciting, no.
Okay. Well, let's bounce forward before we get mired in the debate of Will Smith. Can you believe that when it came to reformulating this Justice League movie, that nobody contacted Christian Bale about whether or not he'd like to do it?
Really?
Christian Bale was interviewed by Esquire while he was promoting this new movie Exodus, the new retelling of the Ten Commandments and Moses.
Uh-huh.
And he said, quote, "People were talking about this obscene amount of money they were saying was thrown at me. No, I didn't have a single conversation with anybody about ever again playing the role." Unquote.
I thought he made it clear he wasn't going to do it after the third film.
Well, back in August 2013, it was reported that Bale had been offered close to $60 million to play Batman. And according to him, no one talked to him whatsoever about getting into the suit again.
That seems strange, because he was pretty popular.
He actually did say that he was sick of being Batman, but not that he wouldn't do it again. Quote, "Batman, man, I'm sick of that. You've done it." In regards to the choreography, he said, quote, "You've done it 100 times, and you're just getting slower and slower and sloppier, and people are really starting to punch you," unquote. And he's also said that he's jealous of Ben Affleck being cast as Batman, and he said when he learned of Affleck's casting of the role, he, quote, "stopped and stared into nothing for half an hour," unquote.
Huh.
Interesting.
So it sounds like he would have done it if somebody had actually talked to him. It's a little sad to find out.
Well, they wanted to go with someone who was older anyway, didn't they?
Well, yeah, but, arguably since the last time he played the role, he's gotten older.
That's
They
true.
put age makeup on him.
That's true.
It's also been learned that new plot details have come out about Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, which may have a direct link to Suicide Squad. One thing that apparently has been leaked is that Superman is aware of the Joker running around. while Batman doesn't seem to know too much about him in this universe.
That's
it's also been said that you see the assassin KG Beast and Doomsday will also be making appearances in the film at some point. KG Beast is an assassin working for, I think, Lex Luthor, who also creates Doomsday in a lab using the body of General Zod.
Oh.
There's going to be a scene in Dawn of Justice that shows how he managed to get a hold of the General's corpse.
Oh, that's kind of scary.
Yeah, Batman's going to see the corpse while raiding LexCorp for a piece of kryptonite. So, take that for what you will. It's rumor until it happens.
Yeah.
However, it has been confirmed that when it comes to the DC current TV shows that cross over, The Arrow and The Flash, Batman and Superman are 100% off limits.
What? Okay, I can see that, but still.
Well, the producer of both shows, Andrew Kreisberg, he explains the situation in a recent fan screening of the Arrow and Flash crossover.
Mm-hmm.
Quote, "There are things we can do and things we can't. I'm a huge fan of Nightwing, but there are cities we can use, and then there's everything else. You won't be hearing Gotham or Metropolis on the show anytime soon," unquote.
Disappointing.
Yeah, I know that these series, they aren't hiring the stars of either of these shows to play any of their roles for the Justice League movies, which is odd to me just to begin with.
Yeah.
But then to completely close off their own universe, to the point where they can't even attempt to mention the two biggest characters in their own universe?
Yeah.
That's unfair. That's completely unfair. If you're going to have two separate universes, fine. Multiverse this bitch and let them play. And they're on the CW, for crying out loud. The company that owns DC won't let them play around with anything that has to do with Gotham or Metropolis. That's effed up.
Yeah.
We can say, though, that DC has found a writer for Wonder Woman. Okay, it's going to be written by somebody within Warner Brothers, Jason Fuchs, F-U-C-H-S, or Fuchs, depending on how you read that. His only writing credits that I know of right now are Ice Age Continental Drift and Pan for the WB, as well as a summer movie coming out, Mad Max Fury Road. Doesn't have a whole lot of writing credits under his belt. But they've also picked the director, who's going to be a woman, Michelle MacLaren, who's helmed a few episodes of Breaking Bad. So you could say she hasn't had a bad job yet. At least they're marching forward with it finally. Took them long enough to get into that. You guys are still trying to wrap your head around the DC, or Flash and Green Arrow not being allowed to play, aren't you?
Little bit. I don't know why they aren't hiring Stephen Amell's abs to be at a new in a big screen movie. I just don't.
His abs are too busy playing Cyborg. I don't know. I can't say for sure. We'll move on to general media news, where we talk about the nerdy media items that don't fit into DC or Marvel's books. There was a fan remake that was being put together of Vampire the Masquerade, the RPGs that involve vampire clans and tactics. They have apparently been given a cease and desist by the game publisher CCP.
That might actually be good news.
That they're stopping the fan remake?
Well, I don't... In some cases, I've heard of people doing cease and desist when they were working on a project related to the title or whatever.
It just seems kind of odd to me, because it's not like Vampire the Masquerade has really been in RPG circles lately. It's faded away to... Right, exactly. That's why... near irrelevance.
I would think that a cease and desist might mean motions? I don't know. It's just a thought. Might be stupid. Who knows?
That's the hope. The rights for Vampire the Masquerade are owned by CCP, or the EVE Online developers. So it sounds like the original... I don't believe they're the ones who created Vampire.
Oh, I think it was White Wolf.
Yeah, it was White Wolf.
I believe you're right. So it's owned by a different company, so why do they care? If it's a fan remake and no one's making money, I would think getting the names back out there would be important.
Yeah.
It's called free advertisement.
Exactly.
You'd think so. So have you seen the official teaser trailer for Jurassic World?
Yes.
No.
I want to see it again.
Wow, that's not even a please. That's just listen, bitch.
See, tip now.
Give me internet slave. There it is. Hopefully Jesse will be able to play this one. It's not that violent.
I'm really proud of you for going on this trip. You're gonna have so much fun.
You know that movies never start well when two kids are going on a trip that's supposed to be fun. It's usually a sign of disaster. That or they're going to Michael Jackson's house.
Also, that blonde woman is totally,
She looked like she could have eaten her kids, frankly. I'm not saying she's ugly, she just had that smile that says, I hate you, die.
Cheryl from Archer.
Oh, crap. Carol.
Carol, Cheryl, whatever.
I'm playing!
She doesn't even know her name anymore.
Why are these kids rolling around in a giant gachapon orb?
Why are they even going back to this island?
This
Well, it's
is
for
clearly stable and working now.
Oh yeah, it always is just
this
before
is
it
the
is.
best. This is the best.
The gator fish? You know, Kirk Cameron's
That's a
looking at that just going,
mesosaur.
that proves... Yeah, Kirk Cameron saw that and just said, that proves it, there's no evolution.
Been a century of digging up bones. A whole new frontier.
And of course, they started out with the same digging up bugs in amber.
Genetically modified hybrid.
Now, why would you make a genetically modified hybrid dinosaur? That's just asking for it to eat you.
Probably not a good idea.
You almost want to just ask her, have you seen these movies yet?
Almost 40 feet high. Really think she climbed out? On what? What kind of dinosaur they
And there's Chris
I
Pratt
hope they
abs
use
and a
any
new outfit.
Velociraptor DNA for this thing.
I'm gonna see this for so many reasons.
Are you kidding? You got Star-Lord helping you out. Call in Drax and Gamora and just slaughter the goddamn things.
Kill anything that moves.
Maybe they made the first Tyrannosaurus that can reach past its nose.
Allosaurus?
There was one visual I remember from the trailer of Chris Pratt riding amongst velociraptors as if they're his crew. Actually, there it goes.
Yeah, I don't think that's... The Velociraptors are clearly not the enemy this time.
Yeah, that can only happen so many times.
Yeah.
I mean, it looked interesting. I don't know if I'd pay money to do it. That's all.
I will.
I'll sit in theaters and watch it.
Okay.
I don't even
Well, yeah.
care if the plot is bad. I just want to see dinosaurs, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, I can get behind that.
Okay, well, I'll rely on you guys to tell me about that. The writer-creator of the Walking Dead TV series, Robert Kirkman, he actually has a regret about the Walking Dead TV show.
Oh?
That is?
Just one. The end of Season 1, where they revealed how they kind of quickly got to the point of how the zombie virus works in people.
Uh-huh.
He actually regrets going to that so quickly. Especially the revelation in that episode that everybody who's living is a carrier of the zombie virus.
Huh.
He wishes they spend more time rolling that out over the course of the series.
Yeah.
That would make sense.
Yeah. It's not a huge regret. It's not like it killed the show or anything, but it is that point. I remember watching the first season with that minor amount of fear, and then as soon as they explain things away, I'm just like, oh, so that's it? I've been entertained by the series, haven't been scared since. If that makes any sense.
Probably made for a lot more suspense or mystery.
I think
Yeah.
that might be part of the reason why I haven't really felt like going back to watch it.
So you've been watching it as it comes, you're just not rewatching it.
No, I mean, I'm still stuck in season 2. It's just hard to get out of the mire of boredom.
I see. To each their own. That's okay. Another important trailer came out this during our off period, and we need to revisit it. The Star Wars Force Awakens international teaser.
Yeah. Saw that. That looked
Right.
fun.
V, have you seen
I
it?
have not seen it.
Well, there it is for your viewing pleasure.
Oh, you didn't wait for us to ask.
I'm not that stupid.
Stop asking. Just give.
The trailer starts off kind of ominous with that voiceover and that view of Tatooine. Or what I guess is Tatooine.
You can safely see it's Tatooine.
That's one thing that bothers me about Star Wars. It doesn't exactly break down to new places easily, does it? There's John Boyega looking like he pooped his armor. That soccer ball of a droid bothers me somehow. I don't know why.
Yeah, they really use Tatooine a whole lot.
It does seem to whirl back around to that planet a lot.
Oh, it's what you consider a backwater world.
Yeah.
They can't.
There's a new X-Wing.
Can't they go to some other world?
Is that Wedge?
I wish. No. And there's the new lightsaber that everyone's pissing about.
Oh, that's cool.
And the Millennium Falcon with its new radar dish. Surprised nobody's complained about it being a square instead of round now.
What's...
Oh, wow, yeah. It's on the wrong side. No, it's on the right side.
See, that's the kind of shit I was waiting for.
Are you talking about the sensor dish thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was knocked off in Return of the Jedi, and it was replaced with a square one, apparently. I don't know if it was over time or what. Some people have chosen some really strange bitches about this trailer.
Like the black stormtrooper?
That bothers me first and foremost. There's been a lot of people online wondering why there's a black stormtrooper in this movie. That shouldn't be possible. And it's like, fuck, if we really learned nothing... I even put out a tweet that some people found funny. You know, you're talking about a series that has space wizards fighting with energy swords, throwing lightning from their hands, and the unbelievable part of this trailer is the black stormtrooper.
Right.
The frick is wrong with you? You know, and people keep complaining about the same thing. A black stormtrooper? Half the time all I hear is Mel Brooks and Blazing Saddles. A black sheriff? You know, I would have died laughing if John Boyega in the middle of the trailer just looked right into the screen, broke the fourth wall, and says,
Hold it. The next man makes a move, the nigger gets it.
I mean, it's so many weird things to complain about. Some people are even complaining about the new lightsaber. I saw a tweet that said, "You've ruined my childhood, thank you." Frick, they didn't ruin your childhood. Your childhood still exists. They're trying to remake your childhood into something that new people will actually find entertaining for their own childhood, okay?
They're making childhoods.
Yes.
Exactly.
Get over it. Get over yourself.
I have the same issue when people are complaining on Transformers boards. Well, if he doesn't turn into a flat-nosed Mack truck, that's not really Optimus Prime.
You know, I was fine with their explanation for him being a long nose.
No. Yeah, that's the point, though. I don't care. It doesn't matter if he's a long-nosed truck, because my childhood happened a while ago. Okay? There's parts of it that were awesome, parts of it that weren't. Okay? I don't need to relive that every second of my life, and no, nothing has to be stuck in my childhood for 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
It is so aggravating.
Amen.
Okay, now I'll get off my soapbox. There's another reboot series coming, and this one may actually not be a reboot.
Wait, what?
What?
The new reboot series that has been talked about for a little while is called Reboot the Guardian Code by Rainmaker Animation Studios. Their president, Michael Heffron, said that the original characters in the series, Bob, Dot, and Enzo, will be major characters in the new series as opposed to reimagining the original show. They're not rebooting Reboot.
Oh.
They're continuing Reboot.
They're advancing it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Well, that's cool.
Wait a minute. But are you using Enzo or Matrix? Because there's two of him now.
They're using Bob, Dot, and Enzo, according to this, and their show is going to follow the tone of the first two seasons rather than the darker third season.
I kind of like the third season.
The third season apparently is the fan favorite.
Well, then why are they doing... Well, I guess they maybe won't think that it will get new audiences.
Well, let me put it to you this way, V. They're Canadians. They do things happily. We all know this. They punch you in the face with a sorry, okay? Kit Harington is the one who plays Jon Snow in the Game of Thrones HBO series. He has revealed there is a curse to being in this show.
That he can't do anything with his hair?
Sort of. He told GQ of the UK, quote, "Game of Thrones is my life. It's my day job. I love it. But honestly, if there's a Curse of Thrones, it's a lifetime of having to talk about it.
I bet. I've seen a bunch of interviews with him, and no question ever seems to surprise him.
Well, he does have another problem that relates to his hair, as you guessed, but it's not the central problem of having to talk about it. Just about everybody on the show is wearing a wig. However, the hair he has in the show is his real-life hair. So as he's walking down the street, a ton more people recognize him than any of his other castmates, and he gets stopped a lot.
Oh, I bet.
Maybe he should put on a wig for everyday life.
He says, quote, "I'm more recognizable in public than much better-known actors. So many people watch, and I go around looking like my character." But it's not like he doesn't mind all the attention, but when asked about actors, he describes them as, quote, narcissists. Every single one, I promise you, to have that verb, to get up there and be watched, it comes from a place. Either you were denied that attention as a child, or you were given lots of it and want more, which is where I land, unquote. At least he's up front.
I like that.
Are you guys familiar with the Korean singer Psy, the innovator of Gangnam Style?
Yeah.
Yes.
And a few other meme sensations?
Uh-huh.
He's officially broken YouTube.
Several times that I heard.
No, he's actually broken the counter on YouTube. His original video, Gangnam Style, has had so many hits. It's had roughly let me see, I need to mark out where the commas go in this number. 2,151,085,980 views. It's had so many views that if you put your cursor over the counter, it's just a bunch of spinning numbers.
That's wonderful.
I remember when his video first came out, it was going so fast that a bunch of Bieber fans say, "Hey, let's go watch Baby a few times so that he keeps the YouTube lead." And it took like a week and a half for Psy's Gangnam Style to just blow past it to the point where that's not feasible. And, I think any video over 100,000 hits, you start getting advertising money out of it.
Mm-hmm.
He made $6 million out of Gangnam Style by itself. Psy did directly.
Damn.
His videos had over 2 billion views. His follow-up video, Gentleman, has racked up 762.2 million views. His collaboration with Snoop Dogg, Hangover, has 162.3 million views. If there is a guy that I think embodies the current state of the music industry, it's probably Psy. He hasn't made albums. He doesn't do a whole lot of concerts that I've seen, but he took his shit directly to the people, and it's paid.
Yeah, that's definitely the way that industry is going. I kind of like it.
Yeah. We've also read the Preacher comic series, and we've talked before that Seth Rogen's been working on writing a pilot to a TV series based on the comic. AMC has given a pilot order for it.
Oh. AMC?
So we're going to get it. Yeah, AMC, the station with The Walking Dead and Mad Men and the people who had Breaking Bad and a few other original series, they're getting this show.
Cool.
Oh, well.
Or at least the pilot. If the pilot's good, obviously they'll probably get a season order. So, power to them. I hope to see this on screen. Reading the comic was a trip.
I think I will enjoy it a lot more on screen than I did reading. Assuming it's good.
Yeah, true enough. V, I need your reaction on this, because you would be the one that knows the most.
Okay.
Roberto Orsay is no longer directing Star Trek 3.
Okay. I heard about that.
Do you have any idea what happened? Deadline doesn't have a whole lot of information about it.
I haven't seen that around much either. As far as I know, he's just not working on it.
Okay. Well, I know Orsay was in it because J.J. Abrams had to step back now that he's working on Star Wars. The only thing that we do know is, according to Deadline, Edgar Wright, the guy who wrote the original Ant-Man script, is on a short list to replace Orsay as director of this film.
Huh.
That would leave this movie with a vastly different feel, I would imagine.
That could be a good thing. Like, I liked the last two movies, but I would like it if they would go in a more mature, cerebral direction instead of the flashy.
I was really glad you followed that word with cerebral, because when you said a more mature direction, I was about to say, do you mean Spock like bending Uhura right over the console right there? I mean...
That's not what I meant by mature, but...
I had to ask. It would have been for mature audiences. I have a list from IO9 of the 12 weirdest things you never knew about Star Trek Season 2 from the original series.
Okay.
V, this may be entirely in your wheelhouse. I can read the basis, and if you're interested, I can read up a follow-up paragraph or two to see if you want to know more.
Okay.
Deal?
Sure.
Okay, the first item that they brought up, this is by Charlie Jane Anders on IO9. Leonard Nimoy almost walked. Off the show.
Wow.
Do you know anything about that?
It might have something to do with William Shatner pulling a prank.
Well, do you want me to read the paragraph?
Sure.
Okay. Well, it says, quote, at the start of Season 2, it was clear that Nimoy was as much the star on the show as William Shatner, and Nimoy's agent argued that his contract was void, because it specified Spock as a secondary character. Nimoy was making $1,125 per episode, and his agent demanded an increase to an unheard of $9,000 per episode. A stalemate ensued, and the show set about figuring out how to replace Spock in Season 2. A new Vulcan would have to join the Enterprise crew, and candidates for the role included Mark Leonard, who played a Romulan and later played Spock's father, and David Carradine, later to star in Kung Fu. In the end, they settled on Lawrence Montaigne, who'd also played a Romulan and would later appear as Stone in the episode Amok Time. Montaigne signed a contract that held him for the entire season, but guaranteed him only one episode's work, which is why he wound up playing Stone. Desilu's Herb Solo told Nimoy's agent that it doesn't matter who plays a role, quote, it's the pointed ears that count. They're the star, unquote. But in the end, the studio blinked, giving Nimoy a smaller pay hike than he had asked for, along with the script input. Later in the season, rumors of a feud between Nimoy and Shatner started appearing in the press, and they were somewhat overblown. Although numerous sources report that Shatner would count his lines to make sure he had more lines in a scene than Nimoy. And in the episode Cat's Paw, Kirk and Spock leave the bridge to rush down to the transporter room, but Kirk arrives at the transporter room alone. Spock got lost along the way, unquote.
Literally? Wow.
I don't know how literally, but it sounds like you were on the right path. It's just he had a problem with what he was paid. And I know some people are listening to this going, $9,000 per episode? That's all he wanted? Remember, this is 1960-something.
Yeah. 9,000's a lot of dough.
Yeah, back then, that would probably be the equivalent of about, I'd say minimum about $30,000 to $50,000 per episode in today's money. So he would have been well off if he got what he wanted. I think it's easily argued, though, that he was worth it.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah,
he's one
definitely.
of the iconic characters on the show. How about this? There was a character in Season 2 that got promoted out of existence.
Janice Rand?
Well, quote, DeSalle, a minor character, was given a red uniform top instead of a yellow one because he got promoted to assistant chief engineer. The thinking being during the episodes where Kirk and Spock were on a planet's surface and Scotty's in command, the show needed to cut to someone in engineering. But in the end, whenever Scotty is in command, the show never shows engineering at all. So instead of gaining prominence, DeSalle wound up getting written out because of his promotion, unquote.
Ah, interesting.
So they had a secondary character in engineering, they just never went to it. The item number 3 in 12 items you may not know about Star Trek the original series, Season 2, is that Zefram Cochrane was manic originally. You know anything about that, V?
No, I do not.
Well, quote, in the original script for Metamorphosis, the episode that introduces warp pioneer Zefram Cochrane, he's a lot more volatile. When he learns that the companion, his alien friend, is female and in love with him, he freaks out and throws rocks at her. He then attacks the companion with a club. Also, the merging of the companion and Commissioner Hefford doesn't happen until the very last episode of the very last scene of the story, instead of during Act 3 as in the aired version. A change which allowed Cochrane to struggle more with accepting the companion in human form, unquote.
Interesting.
That's kind of freakish to read.
How so?
Well, I mean, it makes it sound like he was just utterly cruel to his companion person.
He kind of was, honestly. Like, in that episode, he was a bit... I mean, even without the manicness as described, he was kind of mean to her. At least,
like I said,
from my perspective, he was mean.
I need your perspective on this, because I never found the original series entertaining. My first foray into Star Trek seriously was TNG.
Well, in that episode, he basically is like... He says he's disgusted because some creature that is very clearly not even slightly human has been taking care of him, and all this time is like in love with him. So he's like, it's kind of like the equivalent if we find out our computer's in love with us.
I think in Japan that's called a fantasy.
Okay. By we, I meant us three.
Because my computer can't be in love with me. It would literally yell at me, "Stop with the porn!" Let's see. The next item is Friday's Child originally featured a really bad mother. Do you want to hear that, or should I go on?
Sure.
Quote, in Dorothy Fontana's script draft of Friday's Child, the Princess Eileen doesn't protect her baby at all costs, the way she does in the aired version. Instead, she hates her baby and is willing to hand the newborn over to be murdered in exchange for her own safety. Fontana wanted to break out of the stereotype of women always being good, self-sacrificing mothers on television, but Roddenberry nixed this and rewrote it so Eileen is selfless and devoted to her baby. Also, the earlier script had the native Capellan saying things like, "We are not an industrial people, Captain," but Roddenberry wanted them to speak more like TV natives and changed that line to, "We are herdsmen. To dig into ground for metals is a thing strange to us," unquote.
Wow.
So apparently Roddenberry did have a little bit of weird racist tint to him.
Well, yeah.
He's a product of his time.
Exactly.
I grant.
I kind of expect it, to be honest.
Well, this is one I did not know and have not heard. They created a whole Vulcan language.
I knew that.
I didn't. You want me to read it or just move on then?
I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Let's move on.
Okay. How about this? The stars of the show nearly went deaf in season 2.
Why?
What happened?
Quote, William Shatner had permanent tinnitus, a ringing in his ear, after being too close to an explosion during the filming of the episode Arena in season 1. But then another explosion went off close to Kirk, Spock, and McCoy during the filming of The Apple, and as DeForest Kelley put it, the three of us went absolutely deaf. The three of them had to go to the doctor's office in costume. 2 decades later, Kelly said he still had a souvenir of that episode, a constant ringing in my ear, unquote.
Lovely.
Wow.
Must be frightening.
Yeah, tinnitus is not fun.
Oh, no, it's no joke. Nearly had it working in printing plants. The next item here in the list of 12 things you may not have known about Star Wars, the original series of Star Trek Season 2. I am Harry, thank you. The original episode Mirror Mirror was very different. How much do you know about that?
That's when it went to the Mirror universe?
Yes, that's the one where they went to the mirror universe.
Do you know how it's supposed to be different?
No, I kind of remember that there was a difference, but I don't remember what it was. So yes, go on.
Okay. Quote, in the original script, Kirk alone is beamed into the alternative universe, where McCoy has a beard, not Spock, and discovers that the Federation is losing a war against some aliens. And Kirk is married to a woman who surprises him in his quarters. Kirk realizes this alternative Federation is losing the war because it doesn't have phaser technology, so he's forced to invent the phaser overnight. Also, there's no explanation of where the other Kirk went when our Kirk went to this universe, unquote. So the Kirk was the hero of the story. I guess it's different than him just screaming, "I am Captain Kirk!"
Yeah.
Let's see. Next up, there are unused scripts from Season 2. Quote, there are a lot of details about scripts that never made it to screen. Instead of the Doomsday Machine, Norman Spinrad had pitched a story where a computer reaches into the minds of Spock, Kirk, and another man and create 3 beautiful women who represent each man's version of the ideal woman. But one of these women is dangerously evil because she was created by the mind of the third man, who's a menace character. And Kirk has to decide whether to destroy them all, even though 2 of the women are just programmed to please. Dorothy Fontana passed on this script because it was too similar to Mudd's Women.
Yeah, that is kind of similar to Mudd's Women.
It goes on here. Also, A.E. Van Goght pitched a story called The Search for Eternity, in which the Enterprise crew has amnesia and Kirk is accused of destroying a planet. An admiral shows up and calls Kirk "you rat" and has him arrested. Spock and McCoy helped the admiral to sentence Kirk to death by firing squad. But then it turns out the admiral is actually an evil alien and the Enterprise crew is just pretending to believe Kirk destroyed a planet to get close enough to the foe admiral. Wrote Dorothy Fontana, I find it difficult to believe a Starfleet admiral would, under any circumstances, address a ship's captain as "you rat," unless, of course, Starfleet admiral is portrayed by James Cagney. And there are tons more unused Trek pitches and scripts described in fascinating detail, unquote.
Yeah, that is a little weird.
You believe we're only halfway through this list?
I think that's enough for now.
Okay, you want me to hold on to the other half of this?
Yeah.
Okay.
As much as I am interested.
It has some weird details I've never been privy to. So we'll get the other half of that next week. Let's see, we'll move on to Marvel comic news. There's not a whole lot of it, probably just because of the time of year we're in. One of the few items I have is that the Secret Wars event that Marvel has upcoming next year, the one that had all those weird one-page teasers of prior events, they've released a map of the new Battle World.
Battle World?
Yeah, Battle World was a place in the original Secret Wars that Beyonders took everybody good and evil in the Marvel Universe and had them fight it out to see which was better. It appears Battle World is making another appearance, and it has some very strange regions to it. Region number 3 is the Domain of Apocalypse. Region number 6, 14, and 19, for some reason, are all classified. Region number 20 is a small area called Manhattan that has actually 4 zones to it. Attilan, Manhattan of Earth 616, Manhattan of Earth 1610, the Ultimate Universe, and the Monster Metropolis below Manhattan 616. Which I'm guessing is where Mole Man hangs out. We also have Region 7 is Spiderland. Ring 9 is King James, England. Number 11 is Kunlun, the city where the Iron Fist comes from. Let me see. Number 16 is Arachnia. Number 18 is the Eye of Agamotto, Stephen Strange's go-to mystic device.
Scary.
I don't know. I think there's a Howard the Duck zone because zone number 3 is called New Quack City.
Oh my god.
Makes sense.
Either that or Ice-T is on some wonderful acid for his next song. We have region number 26 is the Hydra Empire. Region number 27 is 2099, the world of 2099. Number 28 appears to be a Kree zone. It's called Hala Field. Region 29 is the Monarchy of M's. Region 30 is the Sentinel Territories. Region 32 is a place called Mutopia. Region 34 sounds like fun. It's called Killville.
That puts me right at home there.
Region 36 is a little confusing. It's called the Bar Sinister.
What?
Sinister. The Bar Sinister is what it's called. Either something they whack you with, or I guess this is where Mr. Sinister is hanging out.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
It also has Region 37 is Limbo. Region 40 is New Xandar. The Nova Corps' home. Number 41, there's something that seems to be spanning the globe that's just called the Wall.
The War Wall?
It's just called the Wall. The War Wall is a DC thing.
It's also City of Heroes.
I'm not going near that. Let me see. It's also been introduced that there's going to be some special anniversary issues for the Inhumans 50th anniversary next year. It's going to be a variant cover to Uncanny Avengers number 1. Nothing horrible, but it does have some interesting stuff in it. And this is adding some speculation in regards to other things going on in Marvel's universes right now. I sent you guys the URL so you could take a look. Do you see what I'm talking about by hints?
I don't. Unless the dog is a hint.
No.
The dog is Lockjaw. He's their teleporting dog. Jesse, are you seeing anything?
There are 3 characters I can't identify.
Well, the top there is Medusa, Queen of the Inhumans, with the prehensile hair.
Yeah, I know that
the
one.
To her left is her younger sister and former husband of Quicksilver and the Human Torch, Crystal.
Okay.
Or former wife of husband, Christ. To the right of Crystal is Karnak, the guy who can find the fault in anything and exploit it to the point of exploding it.
Know him.
Far left is Triton. He's a merman of the Inhumans.
Okay.
The center there is Black Bolt. Everybody knows him, the guy whose whispers can destroy everything. At his right is Gorgon. His stomps create seismic waves.
Ooh, fun.
And down front is their form of transportation, a teleporting dog named Lockjaw. Now, the reason why I asked if you guys could find any clues to anything else going on in Marvel, I'm just going to send you another URL that Newsarama gave. They zoomed in one particular section of that cover. Take a look at that.
Kree?
Sort of. Those are the same markings if you remember several characters in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, I remember.
Out on
Yeah.
screen.
And the last episode, damn it.
Like I said, they've been adding fuel to a fire in the Marvel Universe. I didn't say what universe. It appears that they're heavily implying in Marvel's comics that the Inhumans are the things that they're chasing down at the end of this season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
It'll be interesting who they come across.
That's the question as to which characters have been cast and which ones will be shown first. For all we know, it could be a new pack of Inhumans. There's been a bunch of new ones coming up in Marvel Comics lately.
I would love them to try Lockjaw. Just
That'd be funny as hell. But it also leads the idea that perhaps in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., this new popular Miss Marvel may be debuted. But we'll move on from there because it's just going to create questions. Last bit of Marvel comic news I have is that because of the movie The Ant-Man, Scott Lang is getting a new comic series. That wasn't necessarily news. You're going to exploit any piece of marketing you can find to create hot new comics, right?
Yeah.
Here's the surprising part. The character of Stature, his daughter Cassie, has been dead in comics for about 2 or 3 years now.
you're bringing her back?
Due to his resurrection. How she deals with her own resurrection is going to be a major plotline in the first few issues of Ant-Man.
Oh.
Stature is coming back. She turned into a fan character because she literally sacrificed her life to bring her father back. Everybody knew there was going to be a trade-off, but it turned out to be her life.
As it often is with resurrection plots.
Well, it was really sad for a lot of people when she died because her whole impetus for becoming a superhero was to follow in her father's footsteps, who's been called everything from not Hank Pym to, a thief to a copycat. And instead of embracing all that, she broke out and became a hero in his name. There have been much worse storylines for characters doing anything in comics.
Mm-hmm.
We'll move on to DC comic news. There's a few items here that have me kind of curious.
All right.
First off, the writer for DC's New Guardians line, which follows Kyle Rayner in his adventures as the only White Lantern in the DC universe. The writer is Justin Jordan, who just announced last week that he's walking away from the New Guardians. Not immediately, he's not dropping it flat, but as of issue 40, he's leaving to take a 2-month hiatus as DC moves its office from New York to Burbank, California.
Okay.
And he put a Facebook post, which is kind of interesting. Quote, I'm tired of waiting for someone to make the announcement for me, so let me dump this here on a Friday night. I'm leaving the New Guardians as of issue 40. My decision, and one I and DC have known about since last April. It's not because I don't like writing the book, I do, or because I have any kind of DC falling out. I haven't. Basically, I've written about 400 pages of New Guardians, and I've told the story I've wanted to tell, so I figured it'd be a good time for me to wrap up this stage of Kyle's story and for me to do something else. I took New Guardians because I wanted a challenge. I'd never written a comic book or anything so sci-fi, and I wanted to stretch. It's been great. I loved working with my editors and Brad Walker and the rest of the artistic team, and I think we put out a good book. No book is ever perfect, but I think this is probably the most consistently good work for hire book that I've done. I've gotten to tell the stories I've wanted to tell the way I wanted to tell them. Their weaknesses are mine, and that's not always the case for non-creator-owned books. I've enjoyed working with the 4, eventually 5 Corman, the writer of the various books, and it's been about as satisfying working experience as I can imagine having. Thanks to DC for letting me write the book and all the fans for reading it. And no, I'm not saying what happens to the book after me. You folks are going to have to need to wait for that. Unquote.
Sounds like you just need to take a break.
Yeah, that's literally about the best statement I've heard about anybody leaving a book. It's not, oh, fuck you for firing me, or this sucks, or you're not letting me do X, Y, or Z. It's just, you know what? I need to do something else.
It's like,
you basically had a CM Punk moment.
I've told my story, I'm done.
Pretty much.
You get that eventually.
Yeah. Dan Didio, one of the editors at DC Comics, he said you'll never find a better expression of heroism than Convergence, this weird story where different versions of the DC multiverse are colliding. It's a 2-month event. And he sat down to talk in an interview about it. Much of the series' first weeks of books will be dealing with providing a, quote, sense of closure and key storylines from the pre-Flashpoint DCU with some level of resolution, unquote. Our tagline at the start was, where do worlds go when they die? But it's more than that. It's examining the essence of heroism. Every chance you would have to give up our heroes, find a reason to rise up and fight on that occasion. When you get a chance to work with these characters, these interpretations, and put them side by side in one grand epic, I don't think you'll ever find a better expression of heroism than this book, unquote.
That's a glowing endorsement.
Well, he works for DC. I imagine it would be. That's a high bar to set. Is
yeah,
that idea?
It is. He's using that word several times. It's like,
yeah.
I'm expecting something great. I'm expecting some characters to die.
That comes hand in hand. But the question I have isn't whether or not this is a good idea. Some people have been pining for the pre-Flashpoint DCU for a while. But now you're putting several versions of these characters next to each other. Don't you almost invite your fan base to split?
Yeah.
Some people prefer the pre-52 Superman, some people won't. And now you're going to have them arguing amongst each other over who's stronger, better, faster, and all that stuff.
Just like between Kirk and Picard.
Yeah. But that's worked out for most.
I was going to say you could have the different Batmen, match up against each other, but then I realized it'd just be a whole bunch of staring and scowling.
Not with Adam West.
He'd whip out the bat shark repellent and beat them all. The last bit of DC comic news I have is one I really wish I didn't hear.
What?
The character of Batwoman has another controversy.
Oh, great. What is it now?
Well, remember, this character is gay and has been allowed to be engaged but cannot get married in their comics for some strange reason. Mm-hmm. Okay, now we have a gay character, prominent lesbian character who cannot get married, but as we found out, can now be raped.
What?
Really?
According to a blogger who was posting up Nicole on the observation deck, she noted that there was a recent Batwoman story where she was bitten and seduced by a vampire masquerading as her life partner. And then several issues later, without explanation, it appears that the Batwoman and her human, alter ego and this vampire are having an open relationship. She's literally living and having a relationship with the person that raped her. This character, a vampire character called, and this is original, Nocturna. Now, in this relationship, the character of Batwoman, Kate Kane, is having, quote, repeated blackouts and having a vision of her having sex with Nocturna covered in blood, unquote. I can't even express how much this irritates me. I don't even read the comic. It doesn't interest me in general, but you have one of your few actual cross-platform gay characters that cannot get married but can get same-sex raped? This is unnaturally screwed up.
Not something for kids, at the very least.
I mean, it's not like they showed them, scissoring or anything on the page.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's not a good... Like it's not a good, role modeling.
No, it's not. Assuming she's duped into this relationship at any rate, the fact that you have a character who is so unsure about herself that has repeated blackouts while in the presence of this person and has weird nightmares about having sex while coated in blood. The PTSD imagery is all there.
Yeah.
But she doesn't somehow have the faculties to get out of this relationship?
Well, I mean, to be fair, bad relationships do happen.
World crazy?
Yeah. Where is that?
It just seems so weirdly unfair.
Yeah.
And I don't even mean that gay people have to go through the exact same highs and lows that straight people do. I just mean by the fact that you have this prominent, strong, cult popular, if not mainstream popular, lesbian character who seems to get the most fucked up details of her life thanks to DC writing.
Or censors. I don't know.
I doubt it's the censors who are saying can't get married. About the only people who are probably reading this book with glee right now would be the Tea Party. It fucking irritates me. I have 3 kids, 2 of whom are too young to even start exploring their sexuality. And it's like I've told several gay friends, I don't have strong feelings about gay marriage one way or the other. But I'm in support of it simply because when my kids finally figure out who they are, I want all their options to be open. You know what I mean?
I wish more people had that sentiment.
It's going to take a couple generations for that to sink in.
Yeah. But that's my personal standpoint. We'll move on to general comic news. It's been weird. A little. Not terribly. Let's start with the fact that San Diego officials have said that they want to keep San Diego Comic-Con in the city through 2018. We discussed how the expansion project kind of threw a monkey wrench into the long-term prospects of Comic-Con there.
Uh-huh.
And it's been noted by the San Diego Workforce Partnership that Comic-Con brings in an estimated $160 to $180 million each year to the city.
Damn.
Those figures do not take into account off-site rentals, ancillary spending by locals, advertising, and more throughout the city. We're just talking about what the convention, coming to the convention center, brings to the city. Okay?
Okay.
San Diego officials have hope that they can keep the convention in San Diego. Quote, it's one of those things you can't take for granted, according to the mayor, Kevin Falconer. I won't. We're very lucky to have groups like Comic-Con come to the city, unquote. Past the Sunday before this, Falconer attended a Comic-Con International Board meeting to make his case to the Comic-Con organizers for why the convention should extend its current contract past 2016 through 2018. According to the tourism CEO, Joe Terzi, one of the biggest obstacles is the cost of staying at Comic-Con for attendees. Those who try to book a room through Comic-Con's convention center rates know that even with special rates, room prices are one of the biggest expenses of the convention, with prices ranging from $152 per night all the way up to $375 per night. The closer the hotel, usually the more exorbitant the price, and without Comic-Con pricing, you could be spending over $800 a night.
Damn.
Wow.
Well, that's for non-Comic-Con. That's basically the hotels with their holdout rooms going, you want it, you're going to have to pay for it. Quote, Comic-Con has expressed this concern over the last several years as it's getting very expensive for their attendees to come to San Diego, and while they recognize that they're here at a premium time of the year, they feel they're getting taken advantage of to a degree, said Terzi in an interview with UT San Diego. I believe that Comic-Con is ours to keep, but we can't get too cocky and create an environment that doesn't work for their customers, unquote. Now, to combat this problem, the San Diego Tourism Authority is attempting to lock in more than 50 hotels in the Comic-Con convention room block to lock in their rates through 2018 to ensure that the rates at least cannot rise. And out of those 50 hotels, around 30 have already signed agreements pledging such. And the convention center will adhere to a discounted rent, which this past year, 2014, totaled nearly $200,000.
Wow.
200 grand?
Yes. Just for the rental of the building, $200,000. And they apparently want to discount that to keep Comic-Con in town. It's one of those cases, if I was in the board meetings, I'd be bending over backwards to keep Comic-Con there. I've looked at the yearly event calendar for San Diego Convention Center. Comic-Con is about the only convention, with the exception of one or two, that actually goes above 30,000 in attendance. Without Comic-Con, you may lose a lot of reason for some of those big businesses like hotels and everything to exist. There's a lot going on down there, don't get me wrong. There's a stadium that I'm sure brings people for baseball games and football games, but other than that, I'm sure Comic-Con helps some of these hotels make their year, frankly.
Yeah.
I know the place we stayed probably wouldn't have had a whole lot of attention if it wasn't for Comic-Con.
What was it? That's the thing at the top of the hill. Ugh.
The Declan, yeah. Dude, it's on my list for this year's hotel, frankly. It was still in the middle of renovations. I'm sure that those renovations are done by now, and I have a feeling it's a much better place.
All right.
Besides which, man, I don't remember the last time we stayed at a place that has separate bed and living rooms, okay? it did make some things a little easier. But how about this? Weren't you the one who attended MTV's fan event this year?
MTV? No.
Yeah. Okay. They held a fan event this year that was headlined by, I think it was Papa Roach. No, Linkin Park. Linkin Park was there, and anybody who had a Comic-Con badge got in for free.
Really?
It was a one-night event the Thursday that everything started. But MTV's Fan Fest has announced that they're returning to Comic-Con in 2015. They're doing it again.
Uh-huh.
2014 was the first one, and this year they're doing it again. And not only is it going to happen on July 9th, 2015, they're taping a special that's going to go on TV that Sunday, the 12th.
Oh, shit.
Dude, you go to Comic-Con, you might get on TV. There's a writer for DC, Jimmy Palmiotti.
Uh-huh.
He's starting a new comic book called Abaddon. It's supposed to bring no-hold-barred action or no-hold-barred Western action. They're starting a Kickstarter right now for a 72-page graphic novel. It's being done by Jimmy Palmiotti and Justin Gray. For just a $5 backing, you can get digital versions of the book. I don't know, I think V out of all of us is probably the one most interested in Westerns.
No, I fancy some Westerns. This modern one's not ones with John Wayne.
Yeah, I'm really picky about my Westerns, but granted, I do like the ones that I like a lot.
Well, how about this? It only has 4 days or 9 days left in it. The goal to start it was $42,500. They have $44,490 right now.
Nice.
And let me see. For $16, you get digital copies of Abaddon, Denver, and Forager. At $27, you actually get the graphic novel. You get the actual physical graphic novel. The storyline in this is that it focuses on a western boomtown called Abaddon, which is plagued by a series of brutal and bloody murders. A legendary U.S. lawman, Marshal Wes Garrett, and Abaddon Sheriff Colt Dixon are teamed up to catch the killer. Wes Garrett, wasn't that the guy who supposedly shot Billy the Kid?
I don't know.
No, that was Pat Garrett. Okay. All right, sorry, I corrected myself. It's worth following. But in more unusual comic book news, and this really stresses the unusual, how would you like to continue the excellent adventure on the page?
Huh?
What?
Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure is getting a comic book.
Right.
Oh, shit.
I haven't actually... I'm gonna shut up now.
Boom Studios announced the return of the Wild Stallions in March of 2015.
Excellent!
Oh, wow.
Being done by Brian Lynch and Ryan North, who will team up with Jerry Gaylord and Ian McGinty to bring back Bill and Ted. The comic is officially titled Bill and Ted's Most Triumphant Return. I am not heavily interested, but there's something about this that makes me want to sit down and read. Which is the exact opposite about how I feel about the next one, although the character designs are much better than I could have expected. IDW has officially started working on the Gem and the Holograms revival.
Yeah.
In October of 2015, Gem and the Holograms is getting a live-action movie starring Audrey Peoples and directed by John Chu. But IDW will start the new ongoing series in March, which is the same time as Bill and Ted. Maybe I can go back in time and wish this never existed. But honestly, in looking at the character designs, frankly, I have seen much worse than this.
I think I've seen
I'll send you a URL to the redesign of Gem and the Holograms. As far as a new wave band, or at least a current band, this is actually a decent look.
I like it. Yeah. Well, except for all the pink. I don't actually like it, but...
The pink end of the spectrum there and how prevalent it is in the picture does bother me to a degree. But it does reflect a lot of modern fashion and hairstylings, at least American anyway. I've seen worse than this.
I ain't picking it up.
Anything?
I ain't picking it up, but yeah, I don't have a problem with it.
I'm not interested in it, but I can appreciate that its aesthetic is updated.
Okay. And it's not going to be a must-read for me either. I'd rather see G.I. Joe versus Cobra or something. I have a list, according to Gizmodo, of 7 fictional places you're going to be able to visit via the Oculus Rift. If you have an Oculus, there are several people who, of course, are putting together programs as their beta in the final stages of their beta test, just to see what these things are capable of. How would you feel about being able to stand on the bridge of the Millennium Falcon and walk around it?
Cool.
The Millennium Falcon experience was done by Darth Disembowel and lets you do just that. No playable hologist, though. Not yet. Let me see. By Greg Miller, you can walk around Jerry Seinfeld's apartment.
Ooh, that's cool.
No, don't care.
I kind of do.
Here's one I think all 3 of us sitting in this room would try out. Thanks to Thomas Kaldeck, you can walk around the bridge of the Voyager. Star Trek Voyager.
Oh.
Yeah, I would do that.
Try and sit down in the virtual captain's chair.
I actually kind of dig the science station over on the far left.
Okay, wait. Well, you do know that all these are attached to YouTubes, right?
It's not the same.
Well, here it is. See, I didn't ask.
You're learning! Good boy!
You can actually get into the turbo lift and feel claustrophobic.
Well, that's nice.
Oh, I hate these.
There's no other way to do it, though, dude. These are dual input screens.
I know they are, but it's so weird watching it on
Just
YouTube
focus
like
on
that.
one half of it. Oh, look, there's the science station you were talking about. Or, no, Ops. That's Ops.
Yeah, that's Ops.
That's where the Asian guy stood.
Barely Asian.
I remember Harry Kim. Shut up. He's very Korean. It's nice that they add into the background sounds.
I'm not talking about his race, I'm just, his character was very American.
He was very needy.
Yeah, there was that.
And that map of the ship looks freaking complicated.
Well, it's only, 15 decks? No.
I think so. And that's where Tuvok stood, I think. That's the science station.
And that's the science thing. Tuvok stood,
Oh, no, it's Tuvok Security. That's right.
Yeah, Tuvok Security.
I'm kind of disoriented. I'm not sure which side of the bridge we're on.
He's on the left side of the bridge.
Okay.
He's actually panning around right now, and there's where that arrogant asshole sat. I mean, the helm.
You mean the most
Run a lateral EM scan. Coordinates
Annoying.
perfect?
Running
What do you see?
Opinions vary.
like a reflection. Something low orbit, but it moves into a certain angle from the sun. He's correct.
It's weird how the audio kicks in when he got near the helm chair.
There's another ship in orbit.
Using some kind of cloaking device.
It's not a cloaking device as we know it. Cannot say for certain what it is. But the ship does employ some kind of masking circuitry.
There's a whole lot of dialogue here. I don't remember the show too well, so I don't know where this is from.
I'm...
Nothing but bloodworms.
I don't remember this.
Tartari wants to make. I'm trying to talk him out of it.
It's interesting, as he's walking around, you can hear the audio changing. He actually seems to have stationed the voices in different parts of the bridge.
Come in. Come in.
What the frick? They're firing on something.
Oh!
The interval between each pulse is
This is goofy.
0.47 seconds.
Come in.
I think they just wanted to show us explosions.
Okay. Well, other places you can go, thanks to the Oculus, it doesn't say who made it, but you can take a virtual tour of South Park.
Pass.
Eh.
You don't want to get anal raped by Brian Boitano?
Pass.
Okay. How about this? Thanks to the Serenity VR experience by Cavalith, you can walk around the Serenity Firefly ship.
I would do that.
I would totally do that. Yes.
You can't fly it, but you can rotate it with WASD if you sit in the pilot seat. You can, let me see. It doesn't say who made this, but you can walk around the Griffin house in the Family Guy.
Eh?
I wonder if there's still an evil monkey in the closet.
Probably.
And thanks to Enda O'Connor, you can walk around the bridge of the Enterprise from the Star Trek The Next Generation.
Oh, D.
Less excited about the Enterprise D. I don't know why. It's just, it was so bright all the time.
Maybe it's because it was based on the lobby of a Hilton that one of the writers walked through.
That could be.
I'm not kidding. Last part of general comic book news I have is something that's going to sound really familiar. Remember the wife of a creator a while ago complaining about the current convention culture?
Vaguely.
She was arguing that people were so self-obsessed with their selfies that they weren't actually paying attention to comic book creators at conventions these days.
Think she's full of crap.
Okay, well, unfortunately, she's been followed up by an artist who has the same fracking problem. The guy's name is Pat Broderick. He seemed to work in the 80s and maybe early 90s on some DC mid-tier books like Firestorm. He sent out a tweet. He put out something on Facebook. The text of it says, quote, "Today's heads up. If you're a cosplay personality, please don't send me a friend request. If you're a convention promoter and you're building your show around cosplay events and mega multiple media guests, don't invite me. You bring nothing of value to the shows, and if you're a promoter pushing cosplay as your main attraction, you're not helping the industry or comics market. Thank you," unquote.
What a bitch.
I mean, you're an... he says that cosplayers bring nothing of value to conventions. They're the fans. They're the ones bringing value to your convention. They're the ones who are more likely to spend money. I mean, they spent hundreds of dollars on what they're wearing, so why wouldn't you want them at the convention?
I don't know. How when did this anti-cosplaying thing start?
I don't know. Cosplay only became really a big thing in the last couple years, I would say.
I would agree with that.
Now, at anime conventions, it's fairly prevalent, but it's getting more and more prevalent in comic conventions, which is an older market. So that's why I'd say it's getting bigger. It's not just the kids doing it; it's the people that actually have, full-blown jobs and families who are now getting into it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't understand why cosplayers are the perceived problems. The problem I see is that a lot of people who are now attending conventions, and this isn't a problem in the strictest sense, this is just probably what's leading to this. You have a whole new group of people going to anime and comic book conventions who are only familiar with what they've seen on the big screen. They're not aware of the artists or the writers or the history of some of these comic books, but going to conventions gives them a chance to get into it. If you're going to sit there and piss these people away, you're killing the industry.
Yeah.
Without new people, any hobby dies. We've had this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know why this guy's so butthurt about cosplayers, but if he's that pissed about it, he can stay out of conventions. He can lose his money, as far as I'm concerned. I'll go talk to Peter David again. We'll move into anime and Japan news before I really get bent. It appears we've got a lot of things that just create bitches out of me today. First off, I have a Naruto MMO that's apparently being made by a Chinese company.
Okay.
Yeah, some people in Japan have complained about the quality of the trailer, which they call Chinese quality.
Wow.
That's not very flattering.
No, in the gaming industry, that's actually a downright complaint. I'll send it to you. There you go. Well, it's Bandai Namco Games, so I was going to say that it couldn't be horrible, but I played the first Naruto game. That wasn't too slick. I don't recognize a lot of the characters he's standing around, but granted, I haven't read much past the Team Hawk, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I don't recognize any of them.
Seems to be a whole lot of cel-shaded graphics, and I don't know, I don't see anything new in this graphics engine.
Seems like you just create your own characters in the world.
That's probably why these characters are lacking a lot of details I would expect to find. It tells you almost nothing, really. Well, actually, it tells me one thing. You can make knockoffs of a lot of popular Naruto characters in your creator.
Yep, that's what it looks like to me.
I'm just not seeing anything here blowing my doors off or making me want to test this out as much as that Black Desert MMO we saw. Oh look, he's being helped out by his weak Power Ranger friends.
Against the big badasses of the show.
Yeah.
Or one of them.
Yeah, that's how we support our master. Not by fighting, we'll just push him into the fight. That's great. Yeah, that doesn't make me want to play the game.
Yeah.
I'd have to see reviews before I get into that.
I'll play it if it's free. I don't expect to go far with it.
Jesse, do you know anything about Vocaloid?
It's an anime?
No. Vocaloid is a music generator, actually.
Oh, I have no idea then.
Okay. Well, it's already getting a live-action movie based on one of the songs from Vocaloid. No Show Sakuretsu Girl.
Frozen?
I actually don't know. Let me see. I have a YouTube that is supposed to tell me what this is about. Y'all can check it out there. Starts off kind of uninspired with a cell phone. I can't tell you how much a cell phone seems to have changed communication, how much I hate them.
Oh, ad. Oh, you suck.
Okay, so you're telling me they're making a live-action movie, an anime, and manga based on one Vocaloid song? If you're a fan of Vocaloid, fine. I have no issue with you whatsoever. My personal thing about Vocaloid, though, is I don't like it because I don't like synthesized music. And that's all Vocaloid is, from the vocals all the way down to the beats. I don't like overly produced music. It irritates me. It's the reason why I wish Kesha was buried under a rock. It's the reason why Nicki Minaj, as far as I'm considered, could get on a truck and head straight for the North Pole. So
I just think this is boring.
I think it's uninspired. As far as music goes, I've heard very talented people do less than this and entertain me more.
I have no problem with synthesized, but yeah, this is really uninteresting.
I'm going to end it there because I can't take any more. We can follow that up with the announcement that there's a new season of Hetalia coming out. The anthropomorphization of that's the series that anthropomorphizes whole countries as individuals.
Oh, yeah. I haven't seen a single episode of that.
Yeah, there's a new series coming called Hetalia, The World Twinkle. Which, I don't know, it makes it sound like Florida has to pee. The announcement came out via Gintosha's monthly comic Burrs. There's no additional details to go with it. I got nothing for you.
Move along.
Okay. I have been watching Psycho-Pass with some interest, and they've revealed a trailer to the new Psycho-Pass movie.
Okay.
The series has already gotten its second season, which is ending, I think, in the next week or two here. It's an interesting story, V, that if you had a taste for anime, I know you don't. I think it's right up your alley. What it is a near future where Tokyo has, or all of Japan has a system run by what's called Sybil. What it does is it takes constant readings via neural implants of your mood and your emotional state.
Okay.
If it deems that your state's getting out of control, it can instantly, via dispensers in places you work and live, give you medication to try and correct it. If your state goes too far in one direction, even though you haven't done anything wrong, they'll dispatch investigators and enforcers out to basically take into custody as what they call a latent criminal. And they'll try to rehabilitate you from there.
So, kind of like Minority Report.
Yeah, except a little more lethal, in the form that if your mental state goes too far in one direction, they'll kill you on the spot.
Lovely.
Even though you've done technically nothing wrong to this point, they will terminate you if you're determined to be dangerous, just via reading remotely of your mental state. Some of the most ardent fans of the show calls it Criminal Minds anime.
Okay, that's interesting.
I think you would dig it. I know anime is not your thing and it's been forced down your throat. I say that only because this is basically a gory crime drama.
I do like crime dramas.
Well, the 2 seasons I've watched so far are more interesting because it's not just people trying to exist within the system. The main villains of both seasons are people that somehow can't be judged by the system. They're practically invisible to it. So you have to catch somebody who's not only amoral, but can do whatever they want, whenever they want, if you're not there to stop them. It's kind of the problems of most societies is that when you have laws that only work on the law-abiding.
Right.
So, I think you'd enjoy it. I think you'd hate the fact that there's no dub version of it as of yet. Or the second season. I think the first season's already out and dubbed. I think you'd find something in there you'd like.
Well, I'll try to remember it.
I'm sure your boyfriend can annoy it for you.
He loves it when you try to get me to watch anime.
You make it sound like I'm getting messages from him. Give her this one.
If you start saying we need to watch Cowboy Bebop, I know that he's been talking to you.
Oh no, I'm a huge fan of Cowboy Bebop.
I mean,
I'm getting
not that I'm against watching Cowboy Bebop. Just saying.
Well, I think you're more like me. When people try to force things toward you, you don't do it. When you discover it on your own, it's not bad.
Exactly.
Yeah. In an interesting mix of anime and advertising, a company called Korg makes electronic instruments. They've released a new ad starring one of the characters from K-On! A very bizarre series about a middle school band. That's all it is. They're all girls, of course. But they're releasing a special keytar just advertised in an edition of K-On! Comes with a strap and a stylized Hokago tea time bag. I assume that means carrying bag for when you're not trying to pretend you're in the 80s. It's a limited edition. But it's a limited edition. There's only 300 available for purchase.
They're gone.
Yeah, probably. Inexperienced musicians can also hone skills because they'll include over 20 K-On! Songs in book form for you to learn. No, I like my masculinity. Also, this one kind of throws me sideways. There is a company that sells gum, a multinational food giant, Lot. They've made a jab at advertising by creating anthropomorphized versions of mascots for their gum line.
Huh?
I'll let you take a look. They decided to create mascots for each of their gum line in the forms of young males of different varieties. I guess they're trying to get more girls to... Either more girls or more gay guys to buy gum. This doesn't... Personally, I don't want to stare at any of these while I'm trying to chew something. That would make me uncomfortable. I mean, hey, if it works, it works. It's just not for me.
Yeah.
Cosplay is an interest of mine. I always found it curious how people put together so much to recreate characters. It requires dedication, money, time, but really detailed cosplays I think are cool. It sounds like Japan is starting to key into this because they created what they call the cosplay theme park, Hakko Stadium Tokyo 1. It's a 10-minute walk from the Minami Funabashi station. It'll get you to an area where cosplayers can either get into prefab costumes on site or take their own costumes and take shoots in places like a basketball gymnasium studio, a stage for your Love Live or Idol cosplays, school classrooms, restaurants of different varieties, gardens, I'm guessing indoor gardens, apartments, building walls. It sounds like they've taken out the stops to recreate all kinds of different backdrops for cosplayers. They even have dungeons in there, which I guess is cosplay after dark. Actually, I can send you the URL because it would take too long to send you guys the individual pictures on this. But as somebody that enjoys cosplay photography, I wish I had the money to take like 2 or 3 friends down here and just spend a whole day playing around. Of course, I'd need passports and flying and shite. There's a lot of places that would make for some fun photos, frankly.
Yeah.
The fact that there's a mini gym with sit-up benches is a little weirdly uncomfortable at some points. I don't know. Like I said, this is a place I can play. I'm sure V's listening to this just going, nerd. Nothing? Nothing at all?
What? No, I am not that judgmental.
Oh, no. Yes, you are. You're with us.
Okay, well, I have one thing that, V, you can be as judgmental as you want about it.
Okay. What is it?
Have you ever played a game that involves spanking?
No.
Did it make it to WTF?
It was close. It was very close. There is a game that's coming out called Hurt Me Plenty.
I don't like it already.
Actually, I don't know if this is in anime in Japan news, but I put it in here because it does seem like a Japan fetish. It's a game that comes with a small motion sensor that you can put on your desktop and wave your hand over it to simulate how hard and fast you're going to spank a human being. Which is really weird because apparently the only avatar you can take a shot at are males.
So
I'm
it's
afraid
written
to
for
look at
women.
this.
It's not that bad.
I don't know who. I sent you guys the URL so you could take a look. It's not horrible. It's not like it's not safe for work, but it is a little uncomfortable.
No. I didn't need to see that.
I hope this game's an alpha because the way that guy is jerking when you wave your hand over the motion sensor makes it look like you are just plain sticking your foot clean up his ass every time you do this.
When you first started describing this thing, how it works, I almost thought, like, did they put this on the Wii?
It's me, Mario. Hurts me plenty, player. How many times do you think you have to smack that ass to get a 1-up?
Oh my god.
No, you gotta do that to Peach.
Okay. Last in anime in Japan news. I have a list of 12 lunatics who shouldn't have access to giant robots.
Oh, crap.
You could say it's a constant in anime. Every season there's got to be, it seems like, at least one giant robot anime. And it seems like within that crop of giant robot animes, there's always at least one person who shouldn't be allowed anywhere near them. I have a list of 12 of the biggest maniacs to pilot giant robots, according to IO9.
Shoot.
Number 12 on that list is Nia Trinity from Gundam 00. Quote, although she looks like one of 1,000 cute, genial anime girls, Nina's basically anime's answer to the Joker. She kills randomly, without regret or remorse, based on her own twisted logic. She loves hurting people. She has no allegiances, and her only goal seems to be sadism and chaos. Someone gave her a goddamn Gundam. Great, unquote.
Haven't seen that one.
Not familiar myself. The next one is from a series I'm familiar with, but I'm not crazy about. Alex Rosewater from the Big O.
Rosewater. Oh, which one did he pilot?
The
white one or the red one?
I don't know. It says, quote, what if Lex Luthor had a giant robot but were really dumb? This Big O villain is something approximating the answer. Although already in control of Paradigm City, he wants to be more in control, which he basically equates to 1, piloting the giant Big Duo robot, and 2, killing people who don't deserve to live in his city. So, that's great. And his fondness for genocide is actually part of his plan before piloting the Big Duo drives him completely insane, unquote. It sounds like the villains in The Flash, frankly. Got nothing to do until he just decides to do it bigger. The next one is one I do know, from Gundam Wing, a character called Troa Barton.
Oh, crap.
Quote, if Hero Yui is a psychopath, and boy he sure is, then Troa is a sociopath. He exhibits no emotions and no regret about people's death, including the original pilot of the Heavy Arms Gundam, as well as a bunch of Earth-bound pacifists killed during one of his missions. Most chillingly, when he lands on Earth and needs to hide out among the civilian populace, he decides to be a circus clown. You know that ain't right. FYI, if you're looking for the 5th member of the Gundam Wing team, Wu Fei, he's not on here. He's aggressive, a touch emotionally unbalanced, and not particularly bright, and occasionally screams at wolves to leave him alone. But compared to the others, he's a model of sanity, unquote.
He was a fucking janitor before he became the damn pilot.
Oh my.
You know, it's starting to become clear why I enjoyed giant robot anime so much. Apparently, I'm nuts.
You just now figured this out, Jeremy?
I every once in a while, inklings of sanity kind of peek through the windows of my life, and I quickly slap them away like the moths they are. Number 9 on the list of people who shouldn't be allowed near giant robots, Nina Einstein from Code Geass.
No, don't know the character. I've seen this anime.
Okay, remember the lady who was so in love with the princess, and after she died, she developed doomsday weapons?
No.
Okay. Quote, more of a scientist than a normal giant robot pilot, that doesn't stop Miss Einstein from getting into the nightmare frame named Ganymede after the death of her beloved friend Euphemia, and arming it with a giant nuclear bomb called the Freya, which had the capability of killing 25 million people in Tokyo. Nina is also kind of racist. She fires it. On a fluke, it doesn't go off. So, yeah, unquote. So she's half good as a scientist. For number 8 on this list, we have to go back to Gundam Wing. The character is called Quatre Ribera Winner. Quote, when Gundam Wing begins, Quatre is the only main character who seems completely kind, polite, unaggressive, and completely well-adjusted. So why is he on this list?
He loses his shit with the Zero system.
Because unlike Duo, who merely calls himself the god of death, when Quatre snapped, he snapped hard. After watching his family die, he decides that the best way to achieve peace in outer space is to kill every living being in it. He does a shockingly good job before the other wing pilots manage to calm him down, unquote.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's insane.
It's like seeing the pleasant nice guy go homicidal.
So, Breaking Bad.
I haven't seen Breaking Bad.
Oh, for fuck's sake, you gotta get out more. Number 7 on the list of people who should not be allowed near giant robots, we go back to Zeta Gundam. The character is called For Murasame. For Murasame pilots the Psycho Gundam. This is not a coincidence. She's an artificially enhanced cyber new type, which required a great deal of memory erasing, medical experiments, and brain damage. Now she has blinding headaches, fits of pure insanity, and a random desire to kill everyone she sees. Admittedly, if you've created a giant robot called the Psycho Gundam, 4 is presumably exactly the type of person you want piloting it, but I think we can state quite empirically that she probably shouldn't be in charge of any bipedal weapon of mass destruction, unquote. I'm getting a very serious theme from this article.
These guys got issues.
Yeah, just about every single one of them. Number 6 on the list of 12 people who shouldn't be allowed near giant robots is from a fan favorite, Evangelion, which I'm sure narrows down the list rather significantly.
Poor sod.
Yeah, reading the name almost sounds like it should be introducing wrestling. Coming down the aisle from parts unknown, Asuka Soryu Langley! Quote, Asuka isn't as obviously broken as Shinji is, at least not at first. She's smart, capable, perhaps too aggressive and mean-spirited, but supremely capable next to Shinji. However, her psyche is just as fragile thanks to seeing her mother's suicide as a child. Now determined to prove her life has worth, she completely falls to pieces at anything less than total success. While she doesn't cry like Shinji, she does run away and hide in a bathtub in the country for a while, so let's not pretend she's really any more together than her fellow Eva pilot, unquote. Wow. So total success or no success? Knew there's a reason I didn't like that show.
I've yet to see it, actually.
I think it's worth a watch. I just don't think it's worth a keep. Let me put it that way.
Okay.
Item number 5 on this list, we have to go back into the broken people of Gundam Wing.
Which one?
This one is Hiro Yui, the central character of the show.
Yeah, he's way broke.
Oh, wait. I actually read some of this. Hang on. Quote, the protagonist of Gundam Wing may actually be considered to be a good soldier. He's smart, ruthless, and willing to sacrifice himself if necessary to complete his mission. Unfortunately, he's also a complete psychopath, maniacally laughing to himself as he slaughters his enemies, killing paramedics who try to help them. Then, after being invited to a birthday party for the most popular girl in school, whispering gently in her ear, I'll kill you. And this was literally just in the first episode, unquote.
Yes, it was.
Man, I guess I blocked that out. Number 4 on this list of pilots, I don't think I've ever actually finished the series. Nadesco?
Nadesco?
Yeah, it was from the early 90s. The pilot's name is Guy Daigoji. Quote, here's the first sign that Guy probably shouldn't be operating an Estavis robot. Guy isn't his real name. It's actually Jiro Yamada. Guy is the name of a character on the fictional giant robot anime Geki Ganger, which Guy is completely obsessed with, to the point that he may well think it's real. At any rate, Guy sure acts like it's real, pretending he's starring in Geki Ganger when he fights in real fights, well past the point of endangering his fellow pilots, unquote. That'd be like me getting in my car and pretending it's Optimus Prime all the time.
You're a red stain.
Yeah. Item number 3 is from Gundam Seed Destiny. The character's name is Stella Lucier.
Seen it, I don't recall any of the character names.
Okay. Quote, at the best of times, the 16-year-old Stella has the mind of, say, a happy, not particularly savvy 4-year-old child. I say this is the best of times because when she isn't killing people this is when she isn't killing people indiscriminately. See, the reason Stella is the pilot of the Destroy Gundam is because she turns into an incredible fighter when she feels she's in danger of dying. This is more insane than you realize, because Stella isn't mature enough to recognize danger on her own. Her teammates and fellow soldiers have to explain to her she's in danger of dying. And then Stella is so petrified of death, and boy, that's something you want in your elite soldiers, that if she thinks she's in too much danger, she starts hallucinating and killing friends and foes alike. Unquote.
That's no good.
Yeah, there's some issues there.
Yeah, that's literally which one am I talking to now, Sybil? We only have 2 left on this list of people who shouldn't be allowed near giant robots. Number 2 on this list, we have to go back to Gundam Wing.
Oh. Which
This is the character of Duo Maxwell. Quote, this fan-favorite Gundam series is probably best known for all 5 of its main heroes being violent lunatics. Let's start with Duo, the most well-adjusted Gundam pilot on the show. He's cheerful and friendly in a way his 4 compatriots are not. He's caring and even has a sense of humor. And yet, once in battle, he starts screaming that he's literally the god of death. That is absolutely not someone you want to give a giant robot wielding a giant electro scythe to. Unquote.
That's...
Yeah, I watched that show when it came out on Cartoon Network, and now that it's laid out like this, I realize just how fracking insane each and every one of these people were. But don't worry, we only have 1 left on the list of 12 people who should not be allowed near giant robots, and when I say the name, it's going to be a gigantic fracking duh. Shinji Ikari from Evangelion. Quote, why not begin with the obvious? His mother, dead, abandoned by his dad, practically never shown affection. Shinji was a mess well before his father commanded him to pilot Neva Unit 01 and save the last remnant of humanity from the divine powers trying to wipe it out. Frankly, sobbing hysterically and muttering, I mustn't run away, while giant angels murder the remaining civilians is probably the best response you could expect Shinji to have. Reminder, in End of Evangelion, Shinji jerks off all over Asuka's comatose body. While this technically has nothing to do with giant robot piloting skills, I think it's pretty clear that it's a sign he should probably be disqualified from the Evangelion program, unquote.
I'm kind of glad I haven't seen this yet.
That's easily the weirdest thing in the whole show, and that's saying something. Not exactly a bona fide hero moment. From there, we'll run into general nerd interest news, where we talk about the geeky things that don't quite fit into any of the other categories. First off, I have the fact that Alienware Alpha appears to be on its way. Remember we talked a while ago about a supposed Alienware console?
Uh-huh.
Vaguely.
This appears to be what it is. It's going to run on Windows 8.1 with the Alpha UI. The company is supposed to deliver 600 Steam controller-supported games, including indie titles. It's going to have an NVIDIA graphics processor under the hood. An Intel i3 4130T dual-core processor, a GeForce GT Maxwell 2GB GDDR5. You know, this is going to be an enclosed system. Sounds groovy.
Well, what kind of disk going to put in my wallet?
$800.
Yep.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's the $800 model. The base model is about $550, it appears.
Wow.
So no worse than your average console, at least. I also have a list according to thatguywithaglasses.com. It's a blog you put together of the top 10 cartoons that need a reboot. Number 10 is kind of a surprising one because he lists Gem and the Holograms on it. So I say that's kind of odd because it sounds like Gem and the Holograms is well on its way to its own reboot.
Hasbro's had it for a while, and they really haven't done anything with it yet.
Well, now you got the comic series and the live-action movie. Who's to say another cartoon won't come?
Yeah.
Number 9 was a surprise on his list. He has The Legend of Zelda. You remember that cartoon?
Vaguely. I remember more Captain N.
The Legend of Zelda appeared on Fridays on the old Super Mario Brothers Super Show.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, now I remember it.
Yeah, quote, if you've been living under a rock, The Legend of Zelda is a video game created by Nintendo that followed the adventures of Link as he tried to save Zelda and the Kingdom of Hyrule from the evil Ganon and his forces. In order to accomplish this, Link must collect the 3 pieces of the Triforce. Now, you're probably wondering, wouldn't that make for a great cartoon for kids? Unfortunately, what we got for a Legend of Zelda cartoon was a series in the late 80s that came out alongside the Super Mario Bros. Super Show. Instead of the description I gave of an amazing adventure to collect magical items, what we got was a half-assed cartoon that almost had nothing to do with the games it was based on. While I'm not a huge fan of the games, I understand how offended many fans were with it when this show came out. Now, for a few series, I would like to see it actually follow at least one of the storylines from the various games with better animation and characterization. Mm-hmm. However, one of the problems I can see from doing a new series is giving Link and the other characters voices, as in the games they only spoke through the text or not at all. This would be difficult to please fans, as everyone probably has their own vision of how the character should sound like. Other than that, I think this is a legend that needs to be revisited in animated form once more.
I would love to see that, to be honest, and actually take the story a little bit seriously.
I can see why people didn't like it. If you remember, Link had the catchphrase of "Excuse me,
yeah,
princess."
I remember that. Yeah.
It just made you want to punch him directly in the face each and every time.
Or kicking the balls.
Yeah. Number 8 on his list, he has the real Ghostbusters. You know, the cartoon series based on the actual Ghostbusters instead of the the monkey and the talking car. Number 7 was Dungeons and Dragons, according to this guy.
I'm not sure how you would do that.
Dungeons and Dragons? You don't remember the 80s cartoon, I assume?
I remember seeing clips about it. I've actually never seen the show, but it's like, I was going from the idea of Dungeons and Dragons in general. It's like,
it's not a terrible cartoon, but it was very 80s. You know, you had 6 teenagers who got on a roller coaster, somehow ended up in the world of Dungeons and Dragons, and each one was given, you know, a magical item based on their class.
Yep.
You know, the youngest one was a barbarian who got a club that enhanced his strength. The thief got a hood that made her invisible. The wizard got a hat he could pull anything out of.
Crusader
got a shield.
Yeah.
And he was wormy beyond belief. If you get out of the usual character stereotypes, he had the makings of a decent show. This guy was really into cartoons. He had number 6 listed as the Mighty Orbots.
Oh, wow. I've never seen that. I've seen only on YouTube.
It's again, very 80s. It was made back in 84. It only lasted 13 episodes. I was wrapped on the show as a kid. This one had my imagination. It's about some kind of the son of a robotics engineer who created 5 robots that merged into one giant one. I mean, you know my history. I'm fucking sold already.
Yeah, I know.
Number 5 is where I think this guy started to steer into the weirdness. Again, this is a list of 10 cartoons that need reboots by that guy with the glasses.com. Because number 5 is Street Sharks.
No.
I'm hoping you don't know anything about this show, frankly.
I do not.
Okay, you know how Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was all the rage in the late 80s, early 90s?
Yeah.
Okay, take out the ninja aspect of the turtles, make them street fighters. Take out the turtles and turn them into sharks that are apparently powerful enough to dive under concrete and eat cars with their jaws. That's what you're staring at.
Okay.
So it was basically pointless. And they all like to skate and play hockey and stuff. It was like stereotypes wrapped up within stereotypes wrapped up within
weirdness.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
Their tagline was "Jawsome."
Beating frenzy.
I've never heard that uttered by anyone.
Yeah. Right. Number 4 on his list was Johnny Quest.
Really? Again?
Yeah. Well, I find that kind of funny because I think the best Johnny Quest remake there ever was Adventure Brothers.
Well,
I'm not going to argue that.
I love Adventure Brothers, and I don't know Johnny Quest, but I did like the references to Johnny Quest within Adventure Brothers. So, yeah.
The thing is, they already rebooted that series once.
A couple times, I think. Oh, well, we'll bounce on because number 3 is an interesting one. Go Lion or Voltron? He thinks that deserves a reboot. That did get a reboot.
Couple of them,
Wasn't
actually.
It? Yeah, weren't good ones, though.
No, neither one of them. I've seen them both, and they're both terrible.
Yeah. Number 2 is one of those things that's great only if you don't take it too seriously, in my opinion. The SWAT Cats.
I love that show. Holy crap.
If you don't take it too seriously, it's what it sounds like, V. Just a pair of guys in a special ship. Think of it like Batman with anthropomorphized cats.
Okay.
That's the best way to describe it.
I love that show. I was just talking to David about the other day how they could actually just reboot the damn thing and put actual storyline behind it all.
Yeah. His number 1 of the list of cartoons that deserve reboots is probably one I wouldn't even put on the list, frankly. I'm surprised he put it here. Superman, the animated series.
Why?
I don't know. Oh, well, let me read his paragraph here.
All right.
Quote, "For this one, I'm not giving a description because it's a timeless story that many already know, without knowing everything. Superman is that character that many people love since he was first super, yet in recent years I feel that Superman has dropped in popularity. This is a shame, because Superman was my favorite superhero for the longest time." Okay, now we're starting to get somewhere. "Now, for a reboot, I would really like to see something dealing with Superman trying to fit into society and dealing with a double life. Or instead of being an origin story, maybe it can be an episodic series following his many exploits, similar to Batman, the Brave and the Bold. I could really go either way. I just really want to see a new series now." Well, with a Superman movie on its way, the possibility for a new cartoon series is much more likely in order to cash in on the movie, unquote.
Someone has to buy into it first.
Yeah, really. I think out of all these series, he's named Superman is the only one that really doesn't deserve a cartoon reboot. His animated series, while it wasn't my favorite, was pretty faithful in the beginning. So, I don't know why that needs a reboot. I'd rather get another season of Visionaries, frankly. Now, here's something that fell into general nerd interest news. Wolverine is getting his own version of a car via Kia.
Her?
Kia?
Not literally. One of the designers decided to take a Kia Sorento and deck it out in Wolverine stylings. Frankly, I could use one of these on the 101 freeway.
Pics?
I sent you a URL. Take a look. Imagine this driving up behind you.
Oh, I did see this.
I like
That's
that.
pretty cool.
The only way it could be better is if those claws up front would actually narrow down so you could just, like, impale the trunk of some person that's pissing you off. I would be so down like a clown for this. The only thing I haven't figured out is how exactly you're expected to put anything in this trunk, because you would have to move the rear claws. I sent you another URL. You would risk impaling your groceries trying to get anything into it.
Maybe they retract.
Apparently this car is going to be flaunted at the Australian Open. I don't know why. Now, Yahoo Music decided to basically dare the Gorgon. They put out a list of the 25 greatest heavy metal songs.
Okay.
How much of this do you want? They have accompanying videos. I'm not going to feed that to you.
Well, names and titles should be enough.
Okay.
Not sure how many of these I'm going to know.
Okay, number 25 is Master of Puppets by Metallica. Number 24, Communication Breakdown by Led Zeppelin. Number 23 is Blackout by the Scorpions. Number 22 is Peace Sells by Megadeth. 21, Mind Over Metal by Raven. That's the first one I'm actually not familiar with. It's followed up by number 20, Toxic Waltz by Exodus. Watch, as I'm reading this, I'm going to have some kind of stupid heavy metal riff in the background.
I know
just for the
Peace
sake of
Sells.
I would have to go back in the archive and see if I know this one. Number 19 is Under the Blade by Twisted Sister. 18 is one anybody who likes music or rock and roll knows. War Pigs by Black Sabbath.
Mm-hmm.
Number 17, Cowboys from Hell by Pantera. Number 16, Over the Mountain by Ozzy Osbourne. I actually don't know that one. Number 15 is Hell's Bells by AC/DC. 14, Metal Thrashing Mad by Anthrax. 13 is Am I Evil by Diamond Head. Let's see. Number 12 is Screaming for Vengeance by Judas Priest. 11... What the fuck? 11 is Welcome to the Jungle by Guns N' Roses?
That's metal?
That's
Really?
my question.
Yeah. I actually
Rock,
heard...
I could see. Metal?
Yeah, I'm
Starting to lose some of your credibility
yeah,
here,
this is
dude.
the only song I've actually recall knowing.
Well, this was written by Rob O'Connor, and I take umbrage with number 10, with number 11 there. Now, the top 10 of list of what he considers the best heavy metal songs of all time. Number 10, Detroit Rock City by Kiss.
Really? Not really.
It's one of those things that's recognizable, but I wouldn't put it on a list of best music. Number 9, Runnin' with the Devil by Van Halen. This guy's getting his rock mixed with his metal. I don't know this one. Number 8 was At War with Satan by Venom. Number 7 is The Number of the Beast by Iron Maiden. Okay, we're getting back into metal finally. Number 6 is NIB by Black Sabbath. Number 5, I don't know. South of Heaven by Slayer.
I've heard of it.
Okay. Number 4, Satan's Fall by Mercury Fate. Merciful Fate. I don't know that at all. We're down to the top 3 of this guy's list of the 25 best heavy metal songs. Number 3 is Metallica, Fight Fire with Fire.
Are the top 3 all Metallica?
No, actually, number 2 is Black Sabbath by Black Sabbath.
I guess it's fitting that's a song. I didn't know that it was.
I didn't know they had a self-title. Last one is one I'm actually very familiar with. Number 1 on this guy's list of his top 25 metal songs of all time is Ace of Spades by Motorhead.
Okay.
It has metal in it. It's a list. I don't know if I call this a 25 best, though. I know it's all subjective and everything, but he has some very strange picks in there. Almost deserving of what the fuck. Now, according to Mark Strauss on IO9, he says that after the sun incinerates Earth, life could actually evolve on Titan.
Only after the sun incinerates Earth?
Probably he means by its expansion that will eventually create it to get closer to Saturn and its moons. In this case, Jupiter, I think. Jupiter's moon of Titan. He says in a recent speech delivered at the Library of Congress, Kerry Anderson, the Associate Chief of NASA's Goddard Planetary System Laboratory, said that Titan is, quote, an organic soup just waiting to happen. Probably because of its proximity to the sun, it's all frozen, according to her. But as the sun expands and it starts heating, the moon, the atmosphere is going to be bombarded by high-energy UV photons from the sun and energetic particles from Saturn's magnetosphere. As a result, the molecules in the atmosphere get broken apart. Methane is split into carbon and hydrogen, while the covalent bonds holding nitrogen molecules together become unglued, creating individual nitrogen atoms. She's basically talking a whole bunch of chemistry.
Sounds cool.
Yeah.
So
unfortunately, we'd have to burn to death for it to start.
Well, not necessarily. We could move, if we're still alive at that point in time.
Yeah, but that means we have to get the couch out of the living room and re-register the dog.
Oh, my.
Okay. There's also a video that's been put on Vimeo, of all things, of a drone flight over Chernobyl. You can relive some of your worst Call of Duty memories this way. You want to see it?
Shoot.
I think it'd be kind of haunting. I haven't opened it before. It starts out with dilapidated docks, it looks like.
Alright, hold on.
Is that a ship? What is that? That is a ship.
Huh. Barge. Barges.
Get some stills of some of the amusement park rides. I know that the city was supposed to have an amusement park, so all its workers didn't have to wander too far from the plant. Looks like it's almost sitting there in damn near pristine condition, like the radiation maybe killed the microbes that would rot it like it's supposed to. It's rusted, but it's not breaking down like you would think.
Oh, rust itself is just flaking off the metal, but is it microbes that actually destroy it?
It is very creepy how intact everything is in this town.
I love ghost towns.
It's very eerie.
I know you can take tours through the city right now, guided tours. You can't wander around freely.
I mean, it's like a perfect setting for like a post-apocalyptic, anything.
The Walking Dead. It's creepy. It really is. And it's scary to think that it's been over 2 decades since this occurred.
Really? That long?
I think so.
Only that long? Yeah, I thought it was a long time ago.
Yeah, I thought it was a little bit longer than that.
I don't remember exactly. I mean, it occurred in my lifetime. I know that much, but I don't remember the exact date. Let me see. 1986.
Oh,
yeah,
the year
so
before I was
It has been
born.
nearly 3 decades.
Yeah, 3 decades.
So it has been that long. It's amazing how far we've come in our abilities to actually lift ourselves up, but we still find ways to beat ourselves over the head with it. I guess it's just human nature. Every step forward requires half a step back.
We don't learn anything without making a mistake.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that's not strictly true, but
You learn more by making a mistake, I'll tell you that
yes.
Yeah, if that was true, then our Congress would be the most learned peoples on the planet.
Well, they don't think they did anything wrong, that's the problem.
First step in learning from your mistake is admitting you made a mistake.
Yep.
Well, I have a secondary item to go with that. How would you guys like to see... We just saw a drone ride through Terra Noble. How would you like to see a drone ride under the Arctic ice?
Huh.
Yes, please.
I'm sending you the URL because I can't find the link on where to share the video specifically. If you scroll a bit down the page, IO9 has a story of drone footage from beneath the ice of Antarctica. It's the second window you find there.
Yeah, the screenshot looks pretty.
Yeah. So it's going under the East Antarctic sea ice.
I once wrote a song about Antarctica.
Antarctica is cold.
Antarctica,
is nice.
a harsh land. Repeat.
So it's a shower tune. Well, we see the drone that they're lowering. It's almost looks like a pair of blimps taped together.
Well, I'm pretty sure one of them is actually the ballast.
I'm sure. Should be so glad that these drones can't talk. Can you imagine, motherfucker, don't drop me in this cold... Motherfucker, don't do it! God damn it, that's cold!
And then listen to a complaint when you pick it back up.
Yeah, I know. Do you know where I've been?
It's cool
You know
up
what
here!
I've been? Give me a towel. See, this is one of the advantages that people don't think about when they start complaining about drones, is all the new ways we can actually see our world for once.
Right?
I mean, they lowered it into a hole in the Antarctic ice. It's not like you're going to drop a diving bell down there and shite. This is cool. Looks like you're exploring the ice planet of Hoth or something. Do you see that view of it floating underneath all the ice chunks?
Mm-hmm. This
It's
could
awesome.
be Titan, actually.
Right?
That's true, yeah. Take some hunters and go fight some Fallen here. It's weird how quiet it is, though. I always thought of the Arctic Ocean, even like right under that ice, is probably teeming with life just because we can't get to it. It appears to be much quieter than that.
There is life there.
Yeah, penguins.
I'm sure, but it just...
There's a number of seals.
I'm sorry, but I hear penguins and seals, and all I can think of is a little asshole from Madagascar and a bunch of G.I. Joe rejects. I know that's not what it's supposed to be, but hey. So is this zigzag course they're detailing here? Is this the course that I guess the drone took?
Yep. I mean, that's what I'm guessing. I think they're using it to map the sea floor. Or
wouldn't that be constantly changing, though?
the sea floor? No, the ice above it would.
Constantly changing, yes, but not, Well,
perhaps they are mapping the ice. Maybe they're trying to map the changes because of climate shifts. There it is, slowly coming up. Like an old man at the Playboy Mansion. And we're done. That was groovy and almost zen-like.
Yep. Yeah, no, that is exactly what they're doing. They're mapping the mapping the changes to the ice due to climate change.
Okay. Last bit of nerd interest news I have is serious nerd interest. Annalie Newitt on IO9 made an article of why do geeks like kinky sex?
That everyone likes kinky sex.
Well, she's talking about why geeks in particular seem to like it. She's got a short article here about it.
Fantasies?
Yeah.
I think it goes beyond... Well, let's see where she goes to in that. Let me start with the first couple paragraphs. Maybe we'll get the inkling here. Quote, every subculture has its own permutations of sexual fetishism, and geek culture is no different. There are certain kinks you see again and again among nerds. Cosplay, obviously, furries, but also things like bondage and corsetry, especially among goths. And of course there are a lot of geeks who are turned on by various kinds of technology, from simple sex toys to elaborate devices for delivering very precisely calibrated electrical current to very precise locations. To sound like the battery scene in Lethal Weapon. It's not these fetishes that define geek sexuality, far from it. I'm just saying that you see them a lot, which isn't too surprising, given that many of the sci-fi stories geeks love are full of psychic mind sex, futuristic orgies on giant Halo worlds controlled by AI, robots who are fully functional, shirtless vampires, magically sex-powered detectives, and of course, ladies and gentlemen who wear nothing but teeny leather straps as they ride on the backs of wild Martian snake dragons. I'm not naming any names here, but you know what I'm talking about. Science fiction is full of sex that goes way beyond vanilla missionary position stuff and reflects a certain amount of tolerance for kink in the wilder geek world generally. The connection between geek and kink is so strong that there's a fairly popular con in the early 2000s called Phantasm that was basically devoted to sci-fi fandom and kinky debauchery.
What?
I want to know where this is. Along with the usual con stuff like hanging out with friends, drinking, and just having fun, you can read about Phantasm here and here. And of course, many non-kinky cons are nevertheless packed with people who just want to dress in their sexy cosplay outfits that they can't wear at any other time of the year. Maybe the fantastical self-expression permitted by cosplay allows people to experiment with sexual identities that they might otherwise try to hide. There's also something to be said for the idea that as geeks, we tend to be inside our heads a lot. We like fantasies, so whether they're about spaceships or demonically hot creatures of the netherworld. So when we have sex, we want to bring our imaginations along. Hence the fun of role-playing. Whether you pretend to be a fictional character, a coolly controlled dom, or a very bouncy werewolf, you're having sex that's half in the physical world and half in the world created by you and your partner's minds. I've been talking a lot about why nerds get off on variations of cosplay or bondage fetish and BDSM scenarios. But as I mentioned earlier, there's also the bond between geek lust and technology. Especially in this era of makers, it's pretty obvious why geeks like to have sex using machines. When you play with gadgets all day, you start to get ideas. I don't just mean fuckingmachines.com style ideas, though those are nice. I mean ideas that lead you to amazing places like the Slashdong site, where you can find documentation on how to hack your electronic sex toys. You can also see some of these hacker/maker sex notions at the fine annual conference Ars Electronica, which is devoted to the crossover between sex and technology. And some of these ideas just lead you to the soldering table, where I hope you're about to invent the world's most perfect mind control vibrator because I want to buy one. All of this ultimately is to explain why, when people tell me that geeks are virgins and don't have sex, I usually boggle at them and wonder if they have actually ever met any geeks.
Right.
Again, I'm not saying that all or even most geeks go shades of gray in the bedroom, but some do, and our naughty little dalliances reflect our broader interests and stories that take us out of the mundane, everyday world, and bring us closer to machines that could change the future. Put another way, magic, wizards, robots, and spaceships are just kind of hot. Make of that what you will, unquote.
I don't know, I think she's stretching. That's just my opinion, though.
Well, it's definitely a subjective role. I should say subjective article as to why she and her circle of geeks may like sex. I can speak to myself. I mean, I enjoy the physical act of sex just because it is intimacy on a level I never thought possible when you're doing it right. When you're doing it wrong, it's an exercise in utmost futility. And I'm old enough to admit I've done it both right and wrong.
I haven't really gone around polling people on what they like, but the conversations that I have had with geeks have often strayed towards things of that nature. So,
what, sex with technology or
just kinks in general? They seem to be abundant within geeks, but my question is not that they're abundant within geeks, but they aren't with other people. I find that hard to believe.
Yeah, everybody, I'm sure, has fantasies that just are outside the norm, both illicit and mundane. She is reaching a little bit. She's trying to find some words in there that I think are just beyond her. I mean, I'm a huge geek, but, I think my fantasy world is probably closer to the normal than she would expect. I'm into comic books. I'm into sci-fi. I love movies. I watch anime. However, my top 10, fantasies don't usually involve harem sex, unlike most animes. Jesse, what would you say is your, your fantasy? Just that, and I don't mean details, please, God, no. I just mean the central theme of what you consider the perfect sexual encounter.
I think you're still being confusing.
I'm gonna be a little embarrassed to say this, but I've yet to have an encounter like that.
Okay. Well, no, I mean, everybody has fantasies. What is that one fantasy that's just like, that is that thing you want to get to? It's like me, if I had what I consider a perfect sexual encounter, I'd like to have a threesome with my wife and another woman.
I've actually,
like I said, very vanilla.
I'll be honest, I've never fantasized about it.
Really?
Really?
I've never put thought into your sex life at all?
No.
Huh. V, what about you?
Oh my God! Please do not open that bottle.
I'm not asking you to take a full swig of it. I'm just asking you to give me the barest inkling as to what is the theme of your fantasy.
I would
basically.
like a harem.
Really?
Yes. Actually, I've said this multiple times to many people. Mostly male. I even have rules that I've written up in case such a thing might actually happen to me.
Wow. Tune in next week as we learn these rules. I want you to take out this list. I want to hear this next week.
Okay.
This will be awesome.
Oh, God. Okay.
I'm not looking to embarrass you. I'm intrigued. You actually have a plan for when you enslave us all.
Yes. And don't worry, it is generous and provides for the needs of everyone.
Well, I didn't say you're going to shove like 3 dildos in every man's rectum and say, when you get rid of those is when you get to me. Let's move on to our WTF corner because
we've already been there.
Are you? Do you think I actually put thought into this as things stream out of my face? No way.
All right, I agree. Let's move on.
Okay. Actually, I'll move this to the top of the list since it kind of goes in with the previous article. According to Breitbart.com over in the UK, they're having an issue with what they're calling the sexodus. And no, that isn't, it's not phantasm or anything. It's not people going to have sex. They say the problem is that men and women are giving up on relationships and checking out of society.
Wait, where?
What?
This is an article from Breitbart. It's a UK website, Breitbart.com.
This is happening in the UK, really?
Yeah, she said she was kind of astonished because one person said that they are the beautiful ones. They're referring to a 1960s experiment on mice that predicted a grim future for the human race. What this study showed was that mice, male and female, if they were all put in one enclosed area, of course, they start humping like rabbits. You know what I mean?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And once they reach a certain population density, they actually stopped breeding. The male mice actually start preening themselves for no one and nothing because they refuse to have sex.
Yeah, I remember reading about that or something.
Yeah. They completely withdrew from the company of others, started entirely eating, sleeping, feeding, and grooming themselves, but doing little else. They were called the beautiful ones. And apparently there's a worry that in London among young people, or not London, but maybe in the UK on a whole, this is starting to occur. They've reached a point of population density is becoming uncontrollable, and instead of having sex, people are just removing themselves from these, highly dense populations and just starting to exist by themselves. If I pictured this happen, I was going to say if I pictured it happening anywhere, but it's already happening in Japan. They've released population density, and people are just tired of dealing with each other, so they have waifus and very active fantasy lifestyles, but no actual sexual intercourse.
It's interesting, but also somewhat worrying. I assume it'll stabilize at some point, but
I would imagine something like this would have to have a bottoming out point unless people are just so withdrawn they don't even go outside, which does not sound like what's happening here. It just sounds like people are having individual lifestyles that don't require partners.
Right.
And you guys know me, I'm too outgoing for that to be my lifestyle. Let me see. Remember we talked a few weeks ago about a Valencia soccer team who got in trouble with DC over a logo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The La Liga Football Club in Valencia. Well, according to The Guardian, Valencia has announced they're no longer moving forward with their logo design.
Okay.
Sports team went through the process of trying to get the symbol copyright, which is what got DC's Comics' attention. They thought the new symbol was too close to the Batman symbol.
No.
And rather than fighting it, Valencia decided to just back off and try redesigning it.
Okay.
I was kind of hoping they'd keep it, not because I want people to stick it to DC, but really not that close to the Batman logo to be confused. There's room in there for compromise.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, this is going to be an odd question, and I don't expect you guys to have a straight answer.
Okay.
Okay.
Have you ever thought about being cremated and having your ashes put to an action figure?
What? No.
What?
I was I was going with a yes until you came to the action figure part.
There's a company called Cremation Solutions that will take the ashes of your cremation and put those ashes into the material used in a 3D printer, take a scan of a photo of your face, and then use that to create an action figure out of your ashes.
No.
That is bizarre.
No.
It will only cost you $100, but if you want a custom wig for your action figure, it would be $300 more. Could you imagine going to someone's house and saying, "Dude, check out these action figures," and then somebody screams across the living room, "Stop playing with Grandma!"
Yeah, that's my concern. Is you got an action figure, someone's bound to play with that damn thing.
Or the dogs are going to chew it and bury it.
Yeah.
Which in some cases that might be the person deceased going, "Oh, thank God, I just wanted to get off that shelf for years."
Who thought this was a good idea?
Obviously some assholes in Vermont. It's beyond me, dude.
Yeah.
Well, last time we got together before Thanksgiving, we talked about Kirk Cameron's movie Saving Christmas and how he's trying to get his fans to go onto Rotten Tomatoes to create a better review for his weird-ass movie.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Not only is it officially the worst movie on Rotten Tomatoes of all year, of all 2014, I shit you not, on Rotten Tomatoes, Kirk Cameron's Saving Christmas now has a 0% rating.
Holy crap, it's worse than Last Airbender.
It is actually bottomed out, man. I mean, people not only backlashed against this, but too many people saw the movie and said, "What the blue fuck?" Nathan M. on Rotten Tomatoes said, quote, "This movie is so bizarre. Who did Kirk Cameron make this for? It's not to put Christ back in Christmas for non-believers, but it's somehow addressed to Christians who don't enjoy Santa Claus? Well, you will after you see him beat the crap out of some dude. The thing is so poorly made, so unfunny, and even if the history's interesting, although it's probably not accurate, there's nothing here that will win over anyone. Ridiculous," unquote. Chef Michael G. wrote, quote, "Was this a joke? The worst made-for-Christian TV production ever. Should have never been released and should have been broadcast as a Sunday morning dribble on TBN," unquote.
I haven't seen this, so...
There's one person who gave it a 5-star rating, probably one of his fans. It's dated December 7th. Right underneath that is by Brent M. Quote, "This movie literally gave me diarrhea and chlamydia. Kirk Cameron is the Antichrist," unquote.
Put him right up there with Howard Stern.
Zebra Tigre wrote, quote, "It's all but impossible to stand the corny smirk on Kirk Cameron's face throughout this really awful, awful propaganda piece disguised badly as a comedy. The writing is terrible, Cameron is terrible, everything is terrible. With Kirk Cameron at the helm of the shipwreck, maybe Jesus needs a new PR man," unquote. Okay, this last one I'm going to read by Row R. I don't understand entirely. Quote, "I like the part when Kirk Cameron quickly jerks off before Christmas Day, arrives only to discover that in his haste he's lost the end result. Just when we think it couldn't get any crazier, his sassy gay friend Christian turns up high on poppers, as his type often are. After he finds what Kirk has been lonely searching for all this time, he uses it to do his hair. Oh, those gays, they sure do love their hair product, and their poppers," unquote. Wow.
Wow.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll read one more here by Terrence D. This actually will turn the whole thing around. Quote, "After watching this film streamed online for free, I converted to Judaism. Jews are much funnier," unquote.
I like it.
Yeah. You know, I'm going to leave that article right there. If there's a drop microphone moment, that's it. The last one, I swear, from Sahara H. Quote, "Finally, something worse than Twilight," unquote.
Yes. Although that's a tall order.
I don't know.
God,
Last Airbender was pretty fucking bad.
I've never saw The Last Airbender.
Don't bother.
Don't
bother.
Okay.
Really?
6% on Rotten Tomatoes.
It's horrid, V. I'm a fan of Avatar, and I can watch some bad movies. This made me hurt.
Okay.
It made me just hurt.
I guess I've
turned
never
it
heard it said just how bad The Last Airbender was verbally.
6% Rotten Tomato rating. 6 was the lowest I've ever seen.
V, you've heard me say some odd stuff, and how rarely do I ever apologize?
I can't think of many times, yeah.
Okay, I took my wife to see The Last Airbender. Halfway through, I looked her dead in the face and apologized. I said I was sorry.
I bet she was like, am I dreaming?
No, she actually said, you better goddamn well be.
Wow.
Okay, moving on from there. We earlier on the show, we went through the teaser trailer for Star Wars Episode 7 of The Force Awakens.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You know there's already a George Lucas version out there?
Really?
What do you mean?
Sort of. Somebody put together what they consider the George Lucas Special Edition version of the trailer. Take a look for yourself. Remember how George Lucas kind of monkeyed around with the original films and said these are the real versions?
Yeah.
Take a look for yourself. You already see a bunch of extra stuff running around that Tatooine, can't you?
Yep.
Oh boy.
That's a lot of Gungans. The rocks around the droid was a nice touch. I like whoever made this just added so much shit in everywhere, including the pilot of an X-Wing dodging laser blasts with his head. Take a good look at the lightsaber.
And trade negotiations.
Whoa.
This is great.
Here goes Blink. Watch the Falcon again. Get the busy scene. You know what? I like the end there. Coming depressingly soon. By Tim Tidfed. You know what? That was awesome. You know what? We should probably watch Kirk Cameron Saving Christmas and then watch that right afterwards just to cheer ourselves up. V, you are a Star Trek fan. That will never be denied by anyone.
Yeah, no, it won't. I have Star Trek coasters.
Okay. We have something to go with your Star Trek coasters now, and it's $20 a bottle.
Well,
Captain Kirk is above our door.
No, this will literally go with your Star Trek coasters, V.
Sorry.
You need glasses
Okay,
now.
give me. Let me see.
Because $20 a bottle, you can get Klingon blood wine.
I was close
Really?
with the Romulan ale.
I would rather have
Maybe.
Romulan ale, but I guess I'll take Klingon blood wine.
From vinport.com/Star Trek, you can go and get a Star Wars collector's case at $239.88 of it looks like 3 of each of the Star Trek wines.
Nice.
For $20 to $25 a bottle, you can get either Klingon blood wine, Mirror Mirror, The Trouble with Tribbles, or the City on the Edge of Forever limited edition wines. I shit you not. V's going to get toasty on Klingons. Which will probably go back to the fetish discussion.
Well, unfortunately, Klingons are my least favorite of the common races.
Are you sure? Their heads are rich for your pleasure.
I can't believe those are words that were said just now.
Oh my god. I said that and I'm fucking embarrassed.
You can edit it out of the thing. It's okay.
No!
Oh no, I'm keeping that in. There are people who live for my embarrassment.
I'm one of them.
Sure there's people who listen to this show just saying, that asshole's going to trip up sooner or later, and when he does, I'm going to hear it. Well, I have seen some people have some strange stuff with their coffee. You've seen all the photos lately of people who are foam artists, it appears.
Uh-huh.
Have you ever wanted to drink a cat with your coffee?
Meow.
What?
There is a company called Yawahata, a Japanese confectioner.
Mm-hmm.
They are making marshmallows in the shape of cats. And cat's paws. Take a look. You take one marshmallow, dunk it in your coffee, and it looks like you got a feline swimming in it.
That's adorable.
Oh, that's not bad.
I was thinking this was going to be creepy, but that's actually
Yeah,
kinda
me
cute.
too.
No, sooner or later, I got to have happy what the fuck stories. This is one of those things where I looked at it and said, "What the hell? Oh, that's great!
It's so cute.
I'm gonna slurp you dead." It's a very strange marshmallow, but it is something. You know what? It's one of those things where I would never drink this. It's not my speed, but I would totally make hot chocolate and toss one of each of these in there for my kids.
Oh yeah.
Oh, they would love it.
Oh yeah, my daughter would think it's the cutest thing ever. My youngest would probably look at it and go, "Kitty," and my middle child would just go, "Dad, what did you do?" And we talked a little bit before about amiibos and the strange error amiibos that are out there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, somebody in Russia found an interesting glitch when it comes to amiibos, and it has nothing to do with the Wii. Do you know that you can use an amiibo on some Russian mass transit systems to allow you entrance?
Really?
Yeah, you know how a lot of mass transit systems have those gates at the front, right? You swipe a card or something over it, and it allows you through.
Yeah.
Now, it's not a guaranteed entrance, but if you swipe an amiibo figure over the sensor in some Russian transit systems, the gate will quickly open, but not long afterwards will close. In other words, the system goes, "Yeah, you go, wait, what the fuck, man?" So if you swipe it and you're quick enough, you can actually get through the gate with a Wii amiibo.
Huh. That's dangerous.
Yeah, there's a second video on an article I saw that shows that somebody attempted to scan his Metro card with the Wii U gamepad. The gamepad actually does recognize that there's a scannable device present, but it doesn't accept the card. In other words, whatever scanning system the Wii's in Russia are using are frighteningly similar to whatever is attached to their mass transit system. Wild, right?
Yeah.
Also in the same article, it details that the mistake Samus isn't the only amiibo mistake out there. There's what they call breakdancing figures. There's one of Fox McCloud where his head is bonded to the amiibo base where the chip is. They call it the breakdance version.
Huh.
Probably going to be a market of all kinds of freaky stuff out there. I can't believe I'm saying this. You know there are esports teams out there for a lot of different types of games. You know, League of Legends has esports teams. Hearthstone has esports teams.
StarCraft.
Yeah. There's a team out there who plays Dota 2, League of Legends, and Hearthstone. They're called Team Play to Win. They used to be called Team Play to Win. They've now changed their name because of their new sponsor. They're Team YP.
Team what?
It stands for Team YP. Their name stands for Team YouPorn.
Really?
The online porn video site YouPorn is now the sponsor of an esports team in Spain.
That's... Stop breaking our brains.
Yeah. Not sure how to take that.
Oh, yeah? How about this? The new logo for Team YP is a giant ornate sword penetrating a mountain. I am not making this shit up. Could you imagine sitting down there and trying to trash talk? We are gonna fuck you. No, wait, no, we're not. You can't keep a straight face with any of this. The last bit of WTF news I have is a serious WTF. Does anyone want to buy a haunted sword for $150?
What's it look like?
Looks like a broadsword off the set of Conan, frankly. I kid you not. It looks like a replica, and it could be just this lady freaking out over some strange things that have happened in her house. May not have anything to do with the sword. I sent you the URL. But I almost swear that's what Arnold Schwarzenegger carries in those movies.
Looks...
It's cool.
Okay, now it could be just a troll, but a resident of Austin apparently put this up for sale. And she put up an article. Quote, "This sword is from the 1700s. I got it from an antique store in my Mima's hometown back in 1984. The person who sold it to me told me to be careful because there's a 90% chance that it's cursed. Since it's been in my house, my life has descended into pure chaos. My knitting group came over, and they all said they could feel a very strange energy in my sword room. I have a collection of over 100 swords, and this is my only haunted sword. Since I got this sword, about 3 times a week a crucifix will fall off my wall for no reason. I am 76 years old. I cannot have this cursed item in my home anymore. Please take it off my hands.
Interesting.
Okay, lesson number 1, if it's really that bad of a thing, discount it. $150 is a bit expensive for a cursed item.
I would give it away.
You would think so, right? If there's a ghost attached to it, why isn't it in his dumpster or something?
Well, she doesn't care if someone else wants the curse, so I guess she wants to make a buck off of it.
I really hope this is some kind of troll or something. There's a picture of the old lady with the Conan sword. I don't believe that thing is from the 1700s. It doesn't look like it.
Well, if it is that sword, and it is a real sword, I'm pretty sure it would be too heavy for her to lift unless she's in extraordinarily good shape, which is possible.
Excellent point. But it is also possible that this is the Conan sword, and it's haunted with the souls of all the maids he's raped.
I won't discount anything.
Actually, I pulled up the sword on some site. It's got the right shape for it.
Okay.
Right shape for
It
what?
could
Hauntings?
be. Well, does this say how heavy it is? It could be a whole lot lighter than I think it is.
And what about some kind of maybe some lightweight material? To be honest, swords aren't really that heavy. It's the length that makes it difficult to manage.
Well, no, but she is an old lady, so.
Someone tells me we're starting to overthink this quite a bit.
Sorry, I get obsessed with logistics.
Okay, we'll move on to what our actual story of the week is. We read Batman: The Killing Joke. It's by Tim Sale and Alan Moore. It's been said to be one of the best Batman, if not one of the best DC stories ever told. It's an in-canon graphic novel. I don't think any of this appeared in any Batman comic so much as it was an independent story that was considered continuity. This is also the story where Barbara Gordon was paralyzed and turned into the Oracle. I kind of have mixed feelings about it.
Me too, actually.
I had trouble following it. It was just, I don't know what it is about it. If it's the art style or whatever, it's just kind of...
I think your problem, V, is we jumped into something after prior events, which led to him Batman making some kind of weird epiphany.
No, I don't think so. I think this is, like I said, it's an independent story. It happened outside the comics, but in continuity. I think this is Batman probably, at least according to the writer, already thinking about this for quite a while and just deciding to have a conversation, which is how it all started. My issue with it is, for a Batman story, it was very light on actual action. It was a whole lot of backstory and narrative.
Yeah.
I've heard people complain that Brian Michael Bendis, the writer on the X-Men and former writer of the Avengers, spends too much time with talking head shots. This was a whole lot of talking head.
Yeah, and it was all kind of disjointed and kind of almost, I want to say, garbled. No, that's not the right word, but it's just, I felt like he was reaching for this deep emotional impact between Batman and the Joker that just wasn't there, or that felt like it was relying on a build-up that I hadn't seen.
The whole Batman side of the equation, I just really couldn't get or understand. The Joker side, I kind of got almost, that was not an issue. I got what the Joker was trying to say.
The Batman side of it literally wasn't more than any of the scenes he appeared in. Half the book did seem to be a group of flashbacks about how the Joker became what he was, according to this version. We all know that the Joker has no definitive origin let's say in the pre-New 52 Joker has no definitive origin.
But
every time they tell the story, it's like Deadpool. His mind is so crazy, you never know what the actual truth of his situation is.
But despite that, people tend to reference this a lot, actually.
They do. Although I'm going to repeat, I think it's as true as any story he's ever told, which is not likely.
Yeah.
I do think that the page in which Barbara is shot was excellently done.
It had a lot of the panic you would expect from both her as the victim and her father as the
witness,
the collateral damage.
Yeah.
You know, it was horrific in the moment it happened. I could only imagine what it was like reading it and not knowing what the outcome of her life would be.
Especially, I imagine this was a character that everyone was attached to and had known and seen.
Well, at this point, I know the Batgirl character was created as of the 1966 show, and it carried over into comics. So this character, yeah, for long-term Batman readers, very well known, very well liked, probably never thought anything like this would happen to her. And it was also, I guess that would be one of the greatest successes of the story, would be just people who had picked up this graphic novel and found it out. It was so oddly in the moment. You always expect superheroes, when they have that great moment where they're going to have a tragedy or a death, is the cape on, they're getting ready to burn out, you know, they're taking the bomb away so it won't blow up anybody else. She just gets shot simply because she's there on a day where she's not even in costume.
Yeah, bad luck.
Yeah.
You know, she's literally another victim like anyone else in Gotham City. She didn't have any grand heroic moment. She was just shot in the stomach. And
actually, she was the collateral damage because the Joker was going after Gordon.
It was so bizarre, though, in reading the panels. I had to look at it a few times because that one page, and I'm staring at it right now, the way the splatter comes out of her skirt, it does look like he shot her directly in the uterus.
Ugh.
I don't think that was the intention. I'm saying that up front. But just the way it all came out, and the first time I read it, I had to go back through and look at the panels a few times because it looks like she's clutching her groin, literally. Again, I'm probably overthinking it. Please don't think I am enjoying this by any stretch. I had to reread that not because I was turned on, just because I'm going, did they really just do this?
It's probably just the artist seeing where blood would come out.
Yeah. And I do think the strongest page of this book was the page in which, Batman's standing over her and wakes her up, and she wakes up and freaks out.
Yeah. That was good.
Yeah. And it didn't have to do with her legs so much as she was just horrified that the Joker had taken it to a new level.
I like that her first thought was where's my dad?
Yeah. Well, she'd been Batgirl all this time, so her mind is probably not going to poor me so much as solve it and then deal with everything else.
Yeah.
Then again, she just woke up, so she probably was barely aware that her legs no longer worked at this point.
Right.
The whole thing with the Joker and the amusement park midgets, that was
bizarre.
Yeah.
I just don't... Again, I know he was going for the cray vibe, but...
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, it just felt surreal and disjointed in a not... in a way that did not feel like I was in the head of Gordon.
I can appreciate that. It was... You never really got Gordon's perspective on all this because the writing was decent, but the visuals written up here, and I forget who the artist is, I think it's Sale. He put up such bizarre and disturbing visuals, it really kind of pulled you out of the story to where you're staring at the backgrounds. They were all quasi-realistic, they were interesting, you know, the section where Gordon's being led through that amusement park ride and he's surrounded by the screens and pictures that show his daughter naked, shot, probably in pain. I spent so much time staring at the images just wondering what I would be thinking. I kind of got pulled out of the story. I will ask this, though. During this book, when the Joker's taunting Gordon, trying to drive him insane, and he's singing that song, anybody else hear Mark Hamill?
Not me, but I haven't really been exposed to...
I had trouble reading it, to be honest. I actually put a voice to it. There's just so much in each of those thought bubbles, or speech bubbles, it's really hard.
Well, that was like I was trying to say as I kept trying to read it, and it just, I don't know, the way it was written just didn't make me want to continue reading the dialogue.
It was too cluttered with dialogue, I guess.
I will accept that. There was a lot of words to read through. You know, a lot more dialogue than your average comic book even today.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't even like that 1970s, everybody's thinking thinking their exposition and backstory as they're doing action. It was just a whole lot of navel gazing. In retrospect, though, it does seem like they could have pulled a lot of the inference for the Dark Knight movie, the second of the Christian Bale Batman films, from this book.
Yep, I saw that.
A lot of the same themes ran through it. Of the Joker trying to drive normal people crazy and prove they're just as weird as he is.
And I have to say, I think I remember hearing that very thing. Like, I thought I remembered hearing something about how he had based it off of The Killing Joke, or had been inspired by it, or something like that.
The one plot point that really just dragged the whole thing down, in my opinion, was when Batman arrived. He obviously drove away the crazies, and the Joker retreated to the usual, fight me in this room type deal.
Mm-hmm.
But when he's covering up Gordon recovered awfully quickly.
He's a creep!
Well, he wasn't injured. He wasn't physically injured, I don't believe, other than getting...
He was cattle prodded a couple times.
Yeah, but I think, I don't know, what was his background? Because if I recall, he's like an Army Ranger or something like that.
That's another thing that shifts depending on what era of DC you're talking about.
Right.
But, I'm just thinking about it without knowledge of his backstory. You have a guy who's a police commissioner, okay? You have a guy who's probably seen some of the worst things you have to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
But you're talking about a guy who's been horrified, watched the near murder of a relative, watched her degradation, stripped naked, beaten, dragged around so you can view her degradation, probably for close to a minimum of 8 minutes given your average amusement park ride.
Mm-hmm.
Given that this is a Joker, let's assume that's doubled. And all he wanted, as soon as he was freed, was the Joker brought in by the book.
I think he...
Yeah, I also had
Joker's,
issue with
to
that.
prove Joker wrong. Yeah, I know. I didn't buy it.
Even so, having the strength to still, you stick to that. Maybe it's. I don't know.
One of those things where maybe the content is dated. Maybe we just got to this when it's too far along or too old to be currently relevant.
Yeah.
But it's just my opinion. Do I believe that the guy's strong enough to want him brought in to answer justice? Absolutely. I 100% believe that. Do I believe he would be instantly insistent on bringing him in 100% by the book? No way. In my opinion, he'd be brought in bloody. Alive, but bloody.
I think he would be in too much of a daze to have that coherent and clear of a desire.
No.
That's another possibility, frankly. I hadn't thought about it in that format.
Considering he has seen worse of the worst in Gotham, I think he would be phased, but yeah, I think he could still react.
But again, this is a new level, because seeing the worst of the worst happen to anybody, you can disconnect. But then that's happening to you, and that's a whole different type of trauma.
Yeah.
That's all a different place. And the fight between Batman and the Joker was just what you would expect. It had some decent action beats to it. The end of it was a little bizarre when the Joker pulled a gun, had Batman dead to rights, and then he ended up with the dope gun.
Which was
the
a little weird, yeah.
Click, click. If you're going to pack a piece, and he says it's empty, but it occurs to me he never actually fired a shot. Which means this is the gun he purposely put in his jacket for no real reason?
Maybe he couldn't do it after all. Maybe this is supposed to reference back to the whole thing about not considering himself a really bad man.
You could have me there. You could absolutely be right.
That's just I don't know. Well, maybe. Because otherwise, what was the point of flashing back to what makes him be the Joker, if not to tie that into his current actions?
I don't know. I don't know. There's several aspects of a really great story here, but it does seem like it's disconnected. Like, all the parts are there, all the parts are viable. They just didn't become one terrific story to me.
I think it was someone thought the dialogue portion or the Joker part was so much that they kind of neglected to fill in the gap or pace it well enough for the whole story.
Yeah.
Or it could have just been rushed because I believe it felt like it was a 3-issue story arc.
Well, like I said, it was an independently released story and graphic novel that was in canon, so they had the time to lay it all out if they took it.
Mm-hmm.
But this is where they decided to go with it. The last 3 to 4 pages, where the Joker is actually, he almost seems like he's lamenting, just giving up, getting ready to do the dance all over again, and Batman's offering him a way out of this weird cycle they're in. That was probably the strongest writing of the whole story, I think. Not because it was heavy in action beats, but because it delves finally into 2 characters who might realize that they're on a path that's just going to lead to one killing the other, if not killing the both of them, and trying to get off the train. But I think it also delved down to the point where, in the end, what else do either of these characters know to do? As much as there's a wide mythos in Batman and the Joker individually, you gotta admit, when you boil it down, they're both kind of one-trick ponies.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, fair.
both characters, the basic premises of each of the characters, yes, I do like, but unfortunately, I don't think they really moved either character, or if they didn't move it very far.
I do think they moved Batman a bit in that needle, but here's my explanation behind the one-trick pony thing. Obviously, we know the Joker doesn't know anything other than how to create havoc. That's all he seems to know to do. He doesn't create product, he doesn't create notions. All he does is just kind of stand there and stir shit up. Agree or disagree?
I'll agree.
Well, he had all the tricks and gadgets and whatnot. He does know how to plan or invent stuff.
Okay, now you have on the other end of the scale here the Batman, who is a formidable fighter if you follow the comic books. Okay,
yeah,
formidable fighter, multi-genius, PhD, detective, all that good stuff that you need in a superhero. Right? Okay, let's dismiss that for a moment and get back to what I'm getting to.
Uh-huh.
When it comes down to it, though, the Batman, for all of his gadgets, his plans, his preparedness, what he does is he beats people up and then drops them off for authorities to deal with afterwards. He does not offer rehabilitation or ways out. Ever. Well, ever may be strong, but the vast majority of the time, all he does is remove them from the streets. He doesn't actually remove the problem from the individual. And I think that's where the writer took things out of, not out of character, but out of step at least. The Bruce Wayne in this one offered the Joker a chance to actually be something besides the Joker, and for Batman to finally be something besides the cudgel the police rely on to take all the crazies down. Did he accept? No, didn't accept. But there was some interesting character moments that came across in those last few pages where they were
both laughing.
Yeah, the shared laughter over a bad joke. They were finally, for once, on an even keel and maybe saw a little closer to eye as to what each other was, what they were willing to be, but also what they probably could never be.
Yeah.
It was one of those things where, as I was reading this, it was interesting. I was almost checked out of it all the way through the fight, and those last few pages brought me back into the story and made me start thinking about both of these characters, what they are, and what they could have been if one of them might have actually been willing to take that first step and say, you know what, okay, this is way too fucked up.
Yeah, I think that's a good insight. I wish this had been... I agree with...
If it was longer, it would have been a better story.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. I concur. It should have been longer.
But this could have been the story that I think that we've discussed before as non-Batman fans we could have been looking for, where things actually shifted. The paradigm changed to the point where he didn't just add another ward to his roster of regrets. He finally stepped out of just being the Batman and trying to be this figure that scares crime into something that could actually work towards ending crime itself. He's no longer the punishment. He might actually be the answer if he had managed to convince the Joker to not even stop, at least slow things the frack down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't succeed in that. Did you guys read the extra tag-on story at the end?
I wasn't sure what...
Sure.
I just kept reading until I didn't have pages left.
The white-haired guy talking about how he was going to do the perfect crime and murder Batman
because
he has no motive.
Yes,
I skimmed over that. Too many words.
There were a lot of words, yeah.
it was another chance where I think they could have told a really interesting story if this was a comic book series, the shadow that's following Batman for the perfect moment to kill him. But again, it was told in such a truncated period, and then it really had no payoff because there's no evidence this guy did anything beyond the chat he had with his video camera. If that makes any sense.
Uh-huh.
It just seemed like, I don't even know why it was tagged on there, because it didn't add anything to...
He didn't actually kill Batman. If he had done that, it would have been much more interesting.
Or if he had at least taken his shot, because he was right. He had the perfect motive, which is no motive. I don't know. The problem is, though, as soon as he succeeds, the mythos of Batman is done.
Someone else takes up the mantle. Easy. Done.
I think when was this written? I forget.
1993, I believe.
So this would have been coming towards the end of our naivety, I think. This is the period where we stopped believing that all criminals were either stupid or superstitious, which is half the reason the guy dresses up as a bat. I want to say the 90s is about the point where we started realizing that criminals can be as nuanced and as intelligent as anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry. 88.
88, okay. So it was just before that point. No, yeah, I think this is back during the time when we just thought criminals were... The leaders were the only intelligent people and the rest of them were just morons.
And back when the only Batman we know of at the time is Batman 66.
Largely. But this is definitely post the time where Batman smiles. At 88, I think this would have been after the death in the family, the death of Jason Todd. So, let me see how I can tie this together. The Killing Joke, for its time, I'm sure, if I had read this at the time it came out, I'm sure I would have been thoroughly entertained. I wasn't thinking about comic books as deeply as I am now. I'm not sure it holds up extremely well. Alan Moore did a great job writing about characters who needed to step backwards a little bit and think about where their paths are leading them. Although I'm not sure he actually detailed very well the steps in between. I think that's the best way I could put it. V, what did you think?
I think that's a good assessment. I think it was a little bit too wordy, and that's saying for one who likes wordy things in general. It was too much word for too little image, and just wasn't very. The parts in between the really defining moments, like the time that the moment she was shot, when they were sharing the laugh, the time between those moments drags and isn't very interesting.
Okay, Jesse, what do you think of The Killing Joke?
Too short, too wordy. I think it could have been done better as an animated thing, to be honest.
I agree. It would have been good as an animated, short.
Yeah, I could see that. This would make a good animated one-off movie.
Okay, so Death in the Family with the death of Jason Todd actually happened after. After Killing Joke.
Okay. All right, so that would have just added to it. No wonder the Batman nearly killed the Joker at that moment.
Yeah.
That would have been 2 he taken out. If I had to pick beyond the talking at the end, if there was a perfect Joker moment in this series, that would have been during the first few pages when he was shopping around when he was meeting the guy trying to sell him the old amusement park.
Yeah, I like that part. That was fun.
That was a quintessential Joker moment where he's making the deal and then with a handshake he kills the guy and steals it from him. I thought that was just both interesting but classic Joker move. But yeah, it's one of those things that's hard for me to refer to people because as interesting as the visuals are with a quasi-real art style and some of the most nuanced character moments I've seen in my history of reading comics are in this graphic novel, the sum of it is the whole of its parts are not as good as the sum would hope to be. I have a feeling I fucked that completely up.
I think we all understood.
Yeah, the parts of a great story are all there. The whole did not come together. It's a little light on action. It's very heavy on words. I can agree with those with those issues.
It would be better as an animated short or even like a novella, a short story. Like, I know that's not the same genre, but for the kind of thing they're trying to do, what they did not live up to it.
Yeah.
I guess, as I say, it's like, I think the conversation that they were trying to put together is a bit one-sided because Joker's side of the conversation, actually, that was fantastic. I don't know, maybe my own preconceptions of Batman is kind of getting in the way of listening to Batman's side of things.
Mm-hmm. No, I understand where you're coming from. I can agree with that. You know, it's kind of hard to nail down where the precise issues are besides the wordiness of the graphic novel. There's a few minor things that, if tweaked, could have made this a really amazing story. But there's so many little things, it's hard to nail down any one complete thing that's the problem. So for the people who referred this to us, it's a decent read. It really is. It's got a couple things holding it back from being truly great. Let's see, where to go with our next reading assignment. Anybody have anything that they've been itching to throw at us?
Honestly,
I want to do something different.
Like what?
Define different.
Yeah, define different.
Like video, or I'm having difficulty narrowing it down from video.
So you want a movie assignment?
Yes.
That's an interesting pull. Video. You got me thinking because there's several things I could throw at you, be it animated or anime or movie, but you know, I know one of those would cause you to try to claw out my eyes.
No, I'm open to cultural enlightenment.
Jesse, you got anything video related that might be interesting?
I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
I have one off the top of my head, and it's probably the best suggestion I can come up with because it's neither DC nor Marvel.
Right.
Sylvester Stallone, a long time ago, came out with a Judge Dredd adaptation that didn't do too well.
Oh, don't make us watch that.
Shut up. But there's a but here. About 3 years ago, they took another stab at Judge Dredd starring Carl Urban. Now, the movie has earned some kind of cult status due to what people have seen in it. Wow.
Yes.
Movies earn cult status. It has people asking for a sequel. The studios have not greenlit it, but Carl Urban said he's been willing to do it again. So, why don't we sit down and watch the most current Dredd and see if it's worth a sequel?
I've seen it. I would be up to watching it again to review. That's a great idea.
Sure.
Okay. All right. So we got a plan. Next week we're going to talk Dredd. Movie Dredd. Carl Urban as Dredd. We'll see what comes up in there. I'm a little worried because sometimes actioners based on like lesser known properties, they're either really nuanced and great like Blade, or they're popcorn munchers and you really wish you could just get up and do a popcorn fart.
I think that you will be entertained.
All right. We'll see what we get. So next week is Dredd. Thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate you all coming back, and hopefully we haven't bored you too much. Have a great weekend. I am Jeremy.
Jesse.
And V.
Take care, everybody. And V, don't forget that list, because I want to know what you're going to do with your harem.
Oh, God.